Well, hey, friend, welcome back to the YouTube Niche Finder training. Oh, my goodness. Just enjoying a cup of coffee, Sean, a Keurig cup of coffee. That's right. If you were in the morning session or the session we just finished, Sean went into great lengths talking about our differences in how we view coffee, but it's what makes us unique. And that's what we want you to dive into when you're figuring out your niche on YouTube. Hey, want to thank you for being a part of this behind the scenes experience. Our team is in the back right now, and just wanted to give you a few heads up. Number one, if this is the first time joining on this type of an experience, you're watching us live. We are just recording a course in real time, and you get to watch us do that. So you may see us stop and restart or something like that. That's because we are teaching this for you, but really for it to go inside of the course. So as we are walking through this, we're stopping and starting so that there's different opportunities for us to make sure we're getting this right for you. If you missed the morning session, don't worry. It's still going to be an unlisted link for right now. And then that will be chopped into bite-sizable, easy to consume videos inside of the YouTube Niche Finder course. And then you'll have access to that as well as all of the resources inside of that course, inside of your membership area. Next, if you would like to chat with other people who are watching live right now, I see Daisy's here and Mike is here, Randall's here, the Canva Classroom is here. If you want to chat with other members who are getting this same experience, if you're watching on the watch page, you'll want to click on the YouTube symbol on the video in the bottom right-hand corner, and that will take you over to the unlisted YouTube video. There you'll have the opportunity to chat where we can see what you're saying. You can ask your questions, and then you can chat with each other, let us know your aha moments and things like that. But we're not necessarily active in the chat because each of us have different responsibilities for making sure that this course is the best course on the internet for you when it comes to figuring out your niche on YouTube. And my goodness, has Sean not already brought so much clarity to people who are trying to figure out their niche? We still have more sessions to come. And right now you do have access to the beta downloads. This is really just the first version of the download for you. So you can follow along as we're walking through this. And if you want to learn how to do a course in real time or how we did this, you got the playbook now. So you can create your own course using the tools that we're using here at Think Media. So Sean brought the fire is what I'm hearing. Yes, they are raw notes. And if you have questions, you can be asking them. We will be doing a Q&A towards the end of this session. So I would recommend watching the session, writing your questions down on maybe a piece of paper or on a Google Doc. And then when it's time to ask those questions, you can plug those in. Because the chat keeps going, if you ask your question, and I know it's going to be in a future part of this course, I probably won't pull that up. So hold those questions until Daisy posts and asks you to do that. I think that is all the announcements I had. Sean, you feeling good and ready and rejuvenated?
I am. I'm having a mini can of Blue Bottle coffee, which is kind of like a more bright angled coffee. This probably costs, the price of this tiny mini can is like half a box of Keurigs in and of itself. So good though.
So in something like that though, Sean, do they do all the right things? Do they roast the beans, make the coffee, and it actually tastes good?
This shines with radiant fruit and luminous clarity, and it's perishable. So there's an expiration date and whatnot. And of course, it's not as good as like cold brew made the night before, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I definitely know what I'm going to be asking for Christmas would probably be more Keurigs. What do you think?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Your vibe attracts your tribe. And we have Keurig people here. We got non-Keurig people. So we're ready to crush, but I'm excited. Let's dive in.
All right, let's do it.
All right, friends, here we go. Session 7. Clock. Great. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. In this session, we're actually going to be talking about niching down until it hurts. Sounds painful, but it's going to be oh so good. But just as a reminder, in the last session, a quick recap, we learned the start with why framework. And we learned that people follow people with shared beliefs and people connect with people with similar values. And so I want to remind you to do the work, do the workbook, think deeply about some of these things. And part of the reason you want to go through this exercise is even just to strengthen your own convictions, clarify your own vision, refine your own point of view. And what you'll find is that bleeds into your content. I'm not insinuating that if you're doing Lego build videos that you have to force, some kind of worldview into every detail of that content. But what I've learned is that as you define your why, it will shape the direction of your channel in positive ways. And as you do find ways to weave in your why, it will really polarize people to you in a good way. Like Chris Ducker said, attract the best and repel the rest. Some people will say, I don't really vibe with that, but some will even love you more because you're bold about your values. It kind of reminds me of Patagonia, which is a cool kind of outdoor brand. And their how is interesting because of how they make their clothes. They use some recycled materials. They make their clothes repairable. They allow you to sometimes to send your clothes in. They'll repair them for you. But their vision is to cause no unnecessary harm to the environment and to use their business to protect nature. And people really resonate with that. People will pay premium prices to be a part of that brand. Now, at the same time, you can get Patashmonia for 10% of the cost, but maybe it was made unethically and it was made at environmental damage. To some, that may not matter. But those who gravitate towards Patagonia love what they stand for. So I want to encourage you to really do your workbook and think deeply about kind of thinking about what you stand for. For example, at Think Media, our purpose is to help 10,000 purpose-driven people create a full-time living doing what they love while making a difference in the world with YouTube and online video. And there's another part to it that sometimes we don't say as much, but is driving everything that we do. And that is to make a living with YouTube and online video and experience that success without losing their soul. Why? Because from our point of view, we see that there's a lot of people hustling in the YouTube world or climbing the YouTube ladder at any cost. And that's against our value system. I don't want to climb the YouTube ladder, but sacrifice my family in the process. I don't want to climb the YouTube ladder, but sacrifice my values in the process. And so we've actually built that particular mission statement on Matthew 16:26 that says, what good is gaining the world but losing your soul? In our opinion, it's not worth it. And our other opinion is there's even some, by the way, in the Christian world, some people that even are against Think Media because they think to pursue success at all is also like not godly. Hey, we offended people there. We've offended people over here. You want to attract the best and repel the rest. And this isn't even a classification of someone's value. It's just an indication of who resonates with you and your values. Even deeper, because that's what we're doing now. But when we think about the longevity test at Think Media, our core vision of our company is to teach business and marketing from a biblical perspective. So the Bible is our framework for business. There's lots of people teaching business and marketing, and they have a different framework for success. It might be based on some psychology, a different worldview. It might be based on money at any cost. It might originate in greed. There's all different ways it could be built. From our standpoint, the Bible's our framework for business. And here's the cool thing is for some people, this really connects you to us. For others, you probably believe entirely different than us, but maybe you respect the ethical foundation and the integrity foundation, or maybe because we are so committed to the biblical principle of excellence, you go, I don't really feel that same way about the Bible, but I know that Think Media is legit because they're obsessed with excellence and really mastering the fundamentals that work on YouTube. So even when you really stand for your why, you'd be surprised. There could be a lot of people that connect with you when it comes to your shared beliefs and your values and similar values that aren't maybe a super fan or a 1,000 True fan or don't even care as much. You'll attract a lot of people. but there's something so powerful when you really plant your flag. And so my why, just to kind of maybe trigger some ideas for you. I believe there's never been a better time to build a life and business on your own terms. These opportunities, the opportunity that YouTube and the internet provides, didn't exist. So out of immense gratitude, I believe we should lean into this because these are opportunities our grandparents did not have. I believe that the education system in a lot of ways is broken and that we're living in the era of decentralized education through online courses, through YouTube, through being able to, we're seeing children around the world becoming super geniuses in skills by age 8 and 9 and 10, being self-taught on the internet. That's a new opportunity. You don't have to go into the traditional frameworks of school. New opportunities are here. I believe that my why is to live up to my God-given potential. My motive, my spark, my fuel is to say, as long as there's breath in my lungs, this side of heaven, I want to go all in. That's my why. My enemies, greedy, scammy online marketers. Number one, I love marketing and I love online marketing and YouTube marketing. And number two, I recognize that even being associated and sometimes with that industry, you can kind of get lumped in with others. But some of my enemies are the scammy internet marketers that don't really have the chops, that don't really care, that are just trying to make a buck. And so we're trying to do it different. There's other YouTube coaches. I don't fully know necessarily their why. I don't think it's this. And maybe you've been exposed to some of them, right? It's just different. And maybe they're your cup of tea. Maybe I'm your cup of tea. Maybe Think Media. What is your core values and shared beliefs? I believe that a lot of influencers are leaders that are not worth following. I think that social media platforms have given a lot of people the opportunity to rise to fame. And it's great that they've been able to do that. But I also, especially as a father, I think, man, is this who I want my son to follow? The lifestyle of that person, the way they treat others, the way they spend their money, or the lifestyle that they're living. I'm like, they're not that great of a leader. But our core value is not to curse the darkness. We just want to light a lamp. We want to empower purpose-driven people who want to push back evil in the world and see good unleashed. So I want to glorify God with my life. And I believe that the Bible is not just the inspired word of God, but it's the best business, marketing, and leadership text ever written. So it also gives me, there's just so many books on business, but less, and not even necessarily great ones on YouTube marketing from a biblical perspective. Now you could probably see that, like, well, how do you do thumbnails from a biblical perspective? Excellence. You learn graphic design. You do everything. Like, and so I hope you probably, I don't know how you feel, but I don't think we're overly like churchy or anything like that at Think Media. But these are our foundations. And I'm sharing all this with you because this is the difference maker. In a crowded niche, in a busy world, this is the thing that makes you you, is your deep beliefs and your values. Ultimately, I want people to know that they are loved by God, created on purpose and for purpose. These things also fuel me to fight through the challenges of entrepreneurship. So what's your why? And how can you weave those into your content? One of the places these things find more opportunity is even here, obviously in a place like a course, but in our podcast, it's a place for longer conversation. Do these things show up in a camera tutorial? No, but they might show up in a camera tutorial because maybe I'm wearing a hat that has a brand that other people in the audience, in our tribe, in our community resonate with. You know, that matters. You know, the sports team on your hat can actually help people connect with you. You weaving in the fact that you're part of sneaker culture or that you're a part of different micro tribes and things like that can actually have people connect to you. Maybe you're passionate about fashion, expression of your creativity, art. Again, maybe someone sees Patagonia and they're like, I get it. That's cool. Like that's a connection point, these brands, these details. So I don't encourage you as you think about that last session to keep working on your workbook. And to really be thinking about some of these things. You might not be fully sure how these are going to weave into your content, but they do matter. And they will give you a strong foundation for finding your niche and strengthening your niche on YouTube. But as we dive into the session, we're talking about niching down until it hurts. And I love this quote from Kevin Kelly that says this: don't be the best, be the only. Sean, the world is so crowded. YouTube is so crowded. How can I do that? I'm going to prove this statement to you in this session. So here's your goal. Your goal is to identify an underserved niche and fill that void to the best of your ability. The process of doing so is to double, triple, and even quadruple niche down. Niche until it hurts. And the thing is that the internet has actually made it possible to build a lifestyle business in the niches. Again, if you were to go hyper niche in the old world without the internet, there might not have been enough people in your town to support a really hyper, like a green juice juicing store. But if you go into a concentrated area where there's enough people that are into overly priced juiced vegetables, well, then there's a sustainable market there. But think about the internet. If you can tap into a global audience and you only need 1,000 true fans out of 7.9 billion people on planet Earth, that's a 1% of 1% of 1%. They're there for you. Your audience is there for you. But how do you find them? You got to niche down until it hurts. So here's an example. When you're picking a niche, if someone says, well, what's your niche? What's your niche? You say photography. Well, you're on the right track, but that's still pretty broad for standing out. Now, you might say DIY photography, because you go photography. Is it professional? Like, is it really professional? We're talking $5,000 mirrorless cameras with 2 SD card slots, full frame, high frames per second, because it's shooting sports. You know, that's a whole different level than like a mom and her son at the soccer game. You know what I mean? And so photography, DIY photography. And then what about DIY mobile photography? So there's a niche up top. The double niche is DIY photography. Triple niche is DIY mobile photography. Quadruple niche is DIY mobile photography for food bloggers and creators. Wow. Now, your channel maybe is called DIY photography. Kind of cool. And maybe you talk a lot about mobile, but watch, maybe eventually you do a whole series on how to do photography for food bloggers. And maybe you make a course on that. So we're also looking towards even our business model. And that's a very specific niche course, but also that's the way to stand out in the sea of sameness, because it is the perfect answer to a specific question. Here's another example: how to lose weight. Well, a lot of people want to do it. It's a pretty good niche if you know that that's the angle. But what if we go how to lose weight without exercise? Well, we just cut out a whole way to lose weight. So now it's going to clearly be diet, maybe some supplements, maybe some kind of prescriptions, whatever other ways there is to do it, which is nice, because if we the more we can trim down, the better. But what if we went how to lose weight without exercise for moms? Wow. Okay. So now we just cut out men completely and non-moms. So we limited even our targeting of women. And we know that it's moms that specifically, now maybe I'm not saying this is even a video title, although it could be. This is your niche direction focus of your channel. This channel is all about diet, lifestyle, not even exercise, for moms. And you're figuring out your direction. You figure out what the brand is. But now, what if we went how to lose weight without exercise for millennial moms? And this might not even influence the name of your channel. But friend, when you're this focused, you know who you're talking to. If you know you're talking to millennial moms, you know what jokes they'd understand and what they wouldn't. You know what music they grew up listening to and what they wouldn't. You would understand that they know Boys to Men. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would know they know Casey and JoJo because they were at high school dances with All My Life. You'd know, because and Gen Z right now and Gen Alpha, they don't even know. They don't know all the greats from Casey and JoJo and 98 Degrees and Backstreet Boys. Because so when you niche down, you also start just being able to stand out because of the focus. And it kind of brings me to the story of my first book to illustrate this. You may not have known that I wrote an ebook. It was only an ebook called YouTube for Churches. My background was I was an intern doing video in my youth ministry. So I was doing media in 2003. By 2007, we started a YouTube channel for our church in Marysville, Washington. By 2011, I'm living in Las Vegas. I'm the director of communications for a church that's a little bit larger, TV show, doing their Facebook, their social media marketing. Interestingly enough, watch, I'm the director of communications. Therefore, I am overseeing Facebook, Twitter. I'm helping the pastor write books. I'm helping deliver the edited sermons to the TV station to literally play off of a DVD burnt the episodes for the TV show that would play on the cable networks. I am, when it comes to communications, I'm writing the weekly email newsletter and I'm doing all the social media, and I want to write a book and I want to help people. And so I get this idea of potentially writing a book, YouTube for churches. It might seem smart now, but I was up at nights stressed on it being too niche because I thought, man, but I do social media for churches. And by the way, you already go for churches and you're super niched. And I'm like, I'm the social media director. Not only that, I'm the communication. I should write a book on all church communications. So then I thought, well, maybe I could do social. But then I thought, what if I did YouTube? And my friend, like, the reason there's gray in my beard is because of the stress this caused me as I was thinking about this is way too niche. But eventually, through studying, through getting mentorship, just like you're getting, I actually was like, okay, I'm scared because one of the platforms is already very specific, but one of the platforms for churches, which is a much smaller group of people, is pretty specific. But I went ahead and did it. And here's what I learned. It was the smartest thing I could have ever done. I started to stand out. There was a lot of actually books on social media for churches. Guess how many books there was out on YouTube for churches? 0. Right? In fact, in the early days of Think Media, because you see what Think Media is today, I was talking only to church media directors and church social media interns and things like that in terms of social media and YouTube and online video stuff for churches. Start small to get big. And I'm looking in hindsight too. I didn't fully see this. It was the world I was in. I was being faithful in the world that I was in. Okay. So I put this out, and what's crazy, and here's a thought. If you're nervous that your target market is too small, you're on the right track. Yeah. Like you really could be on the right track, because what ended up happening was I became the #1 expert on planet Earth for YouTube for churches. Sean, that's arrogant. It's not arrogant. I was the only person on earth that was talking about YouTube. So that's why when the Kevin Kelly quote, don't be the best, be the only. How do you do that? You got to niche down until it hurts. And all of a sudden you start becoming a magnet. I started to get, I got flown in places to do coaching with churches, to do consulting. I started to be brought on podcasts. I started to be, because people wanted the specialty that I had narrowed down to. And here's what's interesting. Well, Sean, was that the only thing you knew? No, I knew social. I'm doing email. I'm doing Facebook ads for the church. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And yet I found one thing. I went passion, proficiency, profit, one thing, and I narrowed in on it. Here's an example, niche down until it hurts. So you might be knowledgeable in digital marketing. It's a good niche, but it's a little broad. So what's deeper than that? Social media marketing. What's deeper than that? YouTube marketing. And what's deeper than that? YouTube marketing for churches. Quad niching. Now, imagine just on one scenario too, you might say, you know what? I actually am really passionate about teaching YouTube as well. I mean, I'm kind of just starting, but I've had some success. I kind of want to do what Think Media does. Think Media has already got it. They're too big. Not only that, there's other people in the space, that are doing it. There's no space for me. Here's the key. When you want to stand out and start getting some traction, if you wanted to compete with Think Media, I would encourage you to do it. But what you might want to do is something like YouTube for real estate agents. And watch, YouTube for real estate agents is different than YouTube for real estate investors. It's completely different. It really is, right? Because real estate investors they're not like getting clients, showing houses. they're investing, they're flipping, they're doing, all kinds of different deals. A real estate agent wants to grow their practice where they're showing houses and helping people sell their houses. The riches are in the niches. And especially when you want to stand out in the sea of sameness, you got to figure out how to niche down. And so even though there's tons of real estate people in our communities, if you specialize in helping people with just that one problem, then you're the better answer than even Think Media. Because of the scope and scale of where things have gone, we have gone more broader over time, but that's the opportunity, is to niche down. Kevin Kelly said, don't be the best, be the only. And I became the number one expert in the world for YouTube for churches because I was the only expert in the world for YouTube for churches. Sean, how do you say you're the number one? You become the only. And how do you become the number one? You tweak your tagline a little bit. So there's a lot of leadership podcasts, but if you go, hey, welcome, where we talk about leadership. I just saw a new book. It's about leadership principles from the animal kingdom. I didn't order it. I added it to my wish list, but I was like, that's amazing. And it could be a whole experience where you see, it's a different angle. I'm like, well, by the way, it caught my attention. I'm telling you about it because I literally saw it last night because it was different. Like Sally Hogshead says, different is better than better. And we do that by niching down until it hurts. Naval Ravikant says, become the top 25% at 3 things and then combine them to become the top 1%. So was I the best at any of the things I was doing? I don't think so. There's a lot of people good at social media, digital marketing for churches, video, YouTube. I just got to the top 25%, but watch, boom, combined them. Now I'm the only. YouTube for churches. Tons of people who knew video, but I added video to YouTube, 2 for churches, the only. Niche down until it hurts. All right, so start small with get big. First, these are your goals to do this. Number 1, your goal is to get traction in a smaller niche and a specific niche. Traction, growth. You start making sense. You start helping. Remember, it's not get your first 1,000 fans instantly, super fans. You got to get 1. And so how do you get 1? When you're speaking to that specific person. Second, your second goal is to create a proof of concept. When I did YouTube for churches, a couple things happened. Not only did I think I sold 1,000 or 1,500 copies of the book, which was cool side income, impact changed people's lives because churches were trying to figure out how to do YouTube. It led to opportunity for me and serving people and me having clarity in the world. But you know what else it did that was very important? It built my confidence. I didn't just go from 0 to 100 real quick like Drake in confidence. It takes building blocks. Before I ever created, now with my friend Benji, the best-selling YouTube strategy book in the world, I wrote YouTube for Churches, an ebook that did 1,000 copies. YouTube for Secrets has done 80,000 copies. You don't jump to 80,000 copies, in my opinion, until you've killed some lion and bears before you face Goliath. We have a now massively best-selling online course called Video Ranking Academy. But I had proof of concept in even just teaching and trying to figure out how to create and organize my thoughts in a smaller battle, which gave me proof of concept that led to the next season. And number 3, the powerful truth is that you can expand your niche and your brand later. And I really want you to lean in for this. Start small to get big. You can expand your niche later. Now, I learned this from Mike Kim. What he calls it the valley of focus. And what he shows us is that the valley of focus leads to the land of whatever you want. So what does that mean? It means that by niching down until it hurts, you're committing to become the only in one specific thing, to really stand out in a smaller area. And what that ends up leading to is the land of being able to be broader or to maybe be more multi-passionate. Here's the problem. Some people you look out on YouTube, you go, yeah, but Sean, this niche thing is way too specific. There's person X. I follow them. They got 1 million subscribers. You should see, they talk about all kinds of random stuff. Like they're doing whatever they want. But here's my question for you. Do you know their journey? And I would challenge you that they probably walked through the valley of focus before they got to the land of whatever they want. Here's some examples. Maybe you've heard of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And, he never made it in the NFL, which was his childhood dream that was shattered. And ultimately, he eventually went into professional wrestling for decades, the valley of focus. What's he learning? Acting, theatrics. He's still building up his muscles. He's still working. He's in the valley of focus. Eventually, he wanted to move into Hollywood and move into movies. Now he's the highest paid actor. But not only that, you could look at The Rock and you could say, what the heck though, dude? He has an Under Armour clothing line, now an energy drink, and he has a tequila brand. He just does whatever he wants. I want to make my YouTube channel about tequila, fitness wear, energy drinks, and professional wrestling, right? But he went through the valley of focus and it led him to the land of whatever he wants. You see, Oprah, did you know she started out as a co-anchor for the evening news? Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vaynerchuk, he talks about social media, but he also talks about business, but he also talks about wines, but he also talks about NFTs. How's he do that? Well, he was at Wine Library TV, his dad's liquor store, for years, not only building the business, but using social media, doing 101 episodes, over 1,000 episodes of a show called Wine Library TV. 5 days a week, he would do the show, 52 weeks a year, building it up, and then became known. Oh, you're using social media platforms early. And he starts to pivot into social media business. And now you're like, Gary Vee's he's chilling with Gunna and like rappers. Like he's doing whatever he wants. Yeah, but he went through the valley of focus. Maybe you have heard of Joe Rogan or you've listened to Joe Rogan. He was a TV host and also a mixed martial arts commentator. And he's put in the time, started his podcast, I think over 10 years ago now. And if you listen to the Joe Rogan show today, what is it about? Everything. It's just long conversations with interesting people about whatever he wants to talk about and whatever they want to talk about. Yeah, I just kind of want to do a Joe Rogan show. My flow is I'm starting a video podcast and I'm just going to kind of go Joe Rogan style. Do you have any episodes out? Not yet. I'm just going to kind of talk about whatever I want. Well, let's see how that works out for you. The valley of focus. So he had been in the valley of focus, building up. You'll see this in people's careers. Marie Kondo. So she writes a book, she was a tidying up consultant. She had a business as a 19-year-old university student in Tokyo. And she writes a book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, in 2010. Now, the book does very well, which is helpful. But now she's on a whole nother level because Netflix did a series on her called Tidying Up. And she's turned the KonMari method into a course. She still consults. She has physical home products. So she's doing whatever she wants. But she started in the valley of focus. And I would say for her brand, she has stayed incredibly focused. She still does what she loves, and she's actually still a tidying up consultant. And all of her products align. You go The Rock, and he does a lot of different things. But he's The Rock. So the key is, are you willing to commit to staying focused in the valley of focus? Where you niche down. This is what I did for video. I did video, but not just video for churches, but not just video for churches, YouTube for churches. And today, here you are in this course, right? On the other side of the valley of focus is the land of whatever you want. And here's what I would argue. Number one, I'm over 10 years into this and I'm not changing my niche. We just had a whole conversation on the team about it. I was like, so, Sean, you're kind of drifting because you on the podcast, you're talking about leadership. You're talking about the Bible. You're talking about all the stuff you're passionate about. I go, yeah. Why? Because I want my why to be more front and center, but make no mistake. YouTube is the niche. YouTube coach, YouTube. We also touch on social. Yes, but what is the lens we see the world through? The niche is our niche and our focus is the lens. We interpret social media through the lens of YouTube. We interpret online business through the lens of YouTube. That's what we do. Now, because of the influence and money and resources that I have, I could dip in my toes into the land of whatever I want. But I am also not ignorant to think that I should leave my core niche yet. But let's meet up in 5 to 10 years. Let's meet up in 15 years. And you might go, well, Sean kind of is multi-passionate now. And you go, yeah, but there's a team of 50 people, multiple YouTube channel. You know what I mean? So what people miss is we're comparing the wrong things and we don't see people's journey. You got to go through the valley of focus to get to the land of whatever you want. And one of the crazy dichotomies of life is that by niching down, you actually get to play more broadly. You're in a course about niche and not, I mean, it's about YouTube because it's finding your niche on YouTube. But Sean, why are you talking to me about this stuff? Why aren't we talking about thumbnails? Because I can play more broadly, whether that's freedom in my life, freedom in my resources, freedom. I got so much freedom on the other side of niching down. I get brought in to speak on weird things. I get brought in places to speak on leadership. I get brought in places to speak on faith. I speak at churches. How do you have all that awareness? Because I talked about YouTube and I mastered one thing. I get brought on a podcast to talk about parenting as an entrepreneur. Well, how do you do that? That's not your niche. No, it's the land of whatever I want because I was faithful in the valley of focus. It kind of reminds me of Courtney. And this is a screenshot. You know, these are Video Ranking Academy students. And she has over 12 million views on her channel. Her brand of her channel is clear. You can see that it's about curly hair. But if you look at her latest videos, watch this. One's about trying to induce labor. One's about what's in my hospital bag for baby number 2. One's about a new nursery tour. One's a day in the life behind the scenes. And one of them is about tips to make your curls last longer. So what's cool is Courtney's got over 100,000 subscribers, 12 million views on her channel. And while there's the opportunity, I would suggest that actually sticking with your core niche longer than you think is smart. YouTube is your tube. You can do whatever you want. The problem is if you want to be successful, you want to stay focused. And so if you look at Courtney's channel now, what has happened? Because let's go back. Let's go 3 years ago when she started. What were every single one of her videos about? Only curly and wavy hair solutions. And so anybody that's got curly and wavy hair, they're trying to figure out what to do on the wet cut. They're trying to figure out the Eco Slay orange marmalade review. They're trying to do a protein treatment. What do I do with traveling with curly hair? So if you compare your beginning to Courtney's middle, you make a mistake because she was in the valley of focus, connected with people and built relationships and built people that started to connect with her values, personality, point of view, her vibes attracts her tribe. Now she's in a season of life, baby number 2, and thousands of people are watching. Amazing. The freedom of YouTube, the power of our Video Ranking Academy program, and the power of being faithful in the valley of focus that leads to whatever you want. You start wanting to be a little more, let me bring my lifestyle in here. It's up to you. Because for Courtney, it's going great. But my friends, she was faithful in the valley of focus and it led to the land of whatever you want. And so I want to encourage you, don't despise small beginnings because we all start small. And the key is to commit to persevering through the valley of focus. And eventually you will get to the land of wherever you want as you find that intersection of the 3 Ps and really nail your niche and niche down until it hurts. And I want you to commit to completing this course and using the workbook because we've got more to go. And I hope you're getting inspired. I hope you're getting ideas, but stick with me because coming up in the next session is the question of what if I niche down too far though? Because it is possible to niche down too far. And we're going to solve that in the next session.
Wow. Great job, Sean. If you're ready to power through, we can go right into the next one. But I would love to know your aha moments. You can post those in. Sean got his drink of coffee.
Blue bottle coffee.
Bottle coffee. And we're going to crush the next session. Session 8. That one was so good though, Sean. That's one of my favorite ones.
Here we go. one of the questions you may have is, what if I niche down too far? And we've created a formula here at Think Media that we believe solves this problem. And it's this: you should have a wide niche channel topic and then hyper niche videos to create the perfect combo. So let me give you some examples. If you wanted to talk about red light therapy lights, which are these kind of crazy, somewhat new trend, because there's all these benefits from standing in front of red lights and infra and flared light. And could you make a channel just about those lights? You could, but what if they're less popular in a couple years? It might not pass the longevity test. However, a question would be, will people always be interested in alternative health, whether that's red light therapy, cold laser therapy, supplements, whether it's keto today? So our recommendation is that you brand your channel something related to a wider, niche channel topic, but not necessarily so specific at the channel level that you become constricted in the future. But you could potentially start your wider alternative health channel and you could do 50, 100 videos, your first 150 videos on red light therapy lights. That would be it. Hyper niche videos could still get you momentum and even get you known for something specific. But should you need to pivot slightly as something new comes along or some new technology disrupts something, then you still have the opportunity to do that. One example is a channel called Living in Dallas. And one of our students named Levi actually uses his channel, and is having extreme success as a real estate agent with his partner. But the channel could be Living in Dallas. The videos, though, could be 5 best Italian restaurants in Dallas, as opposed to Dallas restaurants. Now, maybe that would work. However, my preference is to have kind of a more brand channel, and maybe all you talk about on the channel for your next 200 videos is restaurant reviews, restaurant tips. But if you ever want it to be able to scale, sometimes the actual brand could be a little constricting. Wide niche channel topic plus hyper niche videos. So you could do best Italian restaurants, but you could also do 5 things to do in Dallas. You could also do a lot of other things. Now, you could have a channel called Next Gen Gaming and then talk about 20 upcoming games for PS5 this year. Do you always have to talk about PS5? Nope. Could you talk about other game systems or other specific games? Absolutely. And so potentially narrowing a channel to even one game might work for a while, but it probably wouldn't pass the longevity test. So wide niche channel topic that can scale into the future, but then you could have hyper specific videos, even to the tune of lots and lots and lots of videos, even years of videos being about a very niche thing, but you give yourself a wider sandbox to play in, even though it still has a clear focus. So you could have a channel like Legacy Beauty. So maybe it's beauty tips for people in their legacy years. And then you make a video, though, of the best foundation for hiding wrinkles, right? So this is wide niche channel type topic and hyper niche videos. It actually reminds me of my friend Judy, the wife of the co-author of my book, YouTube Secrets, who originally got known for makeup. And her channel is called It's Judy Time. Her tagline, It's Beauty Time with It's Judy Time. And she looked around and she said, okay, I'm going to do beauty because a lot of people are, it's proven, but everyone's doing makeup. Everyone's doing lashes. Everyone's doing this. There's no one at the time too. This is early. No one really doing hair tutorials. I'm going to really go deep in hair. So she went into hair. Not only that, I remember one of her biggest videos. It's called Armpits. And she was like this in the video. And it was a willingness to talk about something people weren't talking about, and talk about, of course, armpit color, armpit hair, shaving your armpit, like this whole thing. So she thought a little bit different inside of her niche, but she didn't like make her channel about armpits or even make her channel only about hair. Is hair too narrow? Not saying that it is. Courtney's doing great. But what she did was she really focused on her first 50, 100 videos on mainly hair, which was a little bit different in the market got known, watch, and then started to talk about even more broader makeup topics. Eventually, the roof blew off. She was the land of whatever you want. Brands want to work with her. Not even just makeup brands want to work with her now. But then, and today, she has actually left that and has gone full time into vlogging her life, just about kids, family, her and Benji, their kids, lifestyle vlogger. One of the things you'll notice, and you might say, well, Sean, I want to vlog. What niche is vlogging? Well, it's a little bit different, but if you study a lot of the successful vloggers, they went through the land of focus, the valley of focus, to the land of whatever they want. Enough people, because of her niche channel about beauty, started to be like, well, what about your relationship? What about your family? They got to know her and fall in love with her personality. So now they literally have a vlog. It is clear, good editing, entertaining. Having more kids is always like a boost in views. Like, oh my gosh, you're pregnant again. Like, there's different things, strategies in vlogging, I suppose. Not that that's a strategy, but ultimately she got there because of starting with hair tutorials under a wider channel topic, and then scaled it all the way into vlogging about whatever she wants in terms of their family vlog. When you look at Think Media, this is really what we've done. Wide channel topic, Think Media, pretty broad. Now, can you niche down more than this? One of our team members, Billy's got a channel just about DaVinci Resolve, which is one video editing software. And he's got 100,000 subscribers. That would be passing the tests of, is the market big enough even in a specific niche? And it clearly is. These video editing softwares are so massive, you can be the big fish in a smaller pond. But on our channel, we're taking a more broad approach now. Think about that. Think Media was what this channel was called when it was all church social media tips. This is what the channel was called when it was YouTube for churches tips. And now it's gone broader, and now it's multiple content creators. It's a brand that's been able to scale. And our promise is weekly tips and tools for building your influence online. But we have a wide niche channel topic and then hyper niche videos. So we talk about editing, we'll talk about branding, talk about webcams, talk about GoPros versus phones, talk about how to film yourself. And well, Sean, it even seems like maybe that's kind of random. We're going to learn coming up about when you focus on a particular promise and a particular person, you realize that maybe not every one of these videos applies to everybody, but we know who we're talking to. Someone just like you. That's like, I do need to learn editing, and I am curious what camera and how do I brand myself. And I do maybe want to start a video podcast, or maybe I don't have to watch that episode, but we know who we're talking to. So my advice, can you niche down too far? I think you can. What you should do is give yourself a wider sandbox with your channel branding to play in. And then don't be afraid of having hyper niche videos that fit inside that bigger brand. But keep going with me, because you might be wondering, but I'm not an expert. And especially as some of the topics you're even recommending, what if I'm just beginning and I'm not an expert? I've got really good news for you. And we're going to talk about that in the next session. I'm ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What if I'm not an expert? Sean, I really want to do this YouTube thing, but I feel like the competition is ahead of me. I feel like I'm not really an expert. So how can I be confident to get on camera? I know I'm passionate about some things. I've seen the profitability, but I'm not proficient at anything. And friend, I need you to know this. That is not true. You actually are a lot more proficient than you probably realize. And I've got some good news for you. Not only some powerful tips, but actually a framework that'll help you on the journey to being an expert, becoming an expert. But here's a couple things you need to know. First, you have life experience. And you don't want to undervalue your life experience. If you've done something, if you've been a real estate agent for 1 year, you have 12 months of experience that a brand new real estate agent can learn from. You could go, here's the 12 things I'd do differently in my first 12 months of being a real estate agent. I just did it. And chances are you're 1, 2, 3, 4 years, decades even, into your expertise, your experience. And so you have life experience. Secondly, you're simply showing your way of doing it. You are showing what worked for you. This is your opportunity. Now, of course, in some disciplines, should you get a degree and should you use that credibility? Yeah, it's probably important in some, if you're going to, you of course not give medical advice, but like recommend medical type things online. I hope you actually know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But in some cases, if you're saying this is what worked for me, this recipe was passed on to me from my mom. This is what worked for me. It tastes amazing. This worked for me. It tastes amazing. This is my way of doing it. You're honest. You're authentic. You're transparent about this. I banged my head against the wall for 8 years trying to figure it out. And then I figured it out. You're simply sharing your way of doing it and what worked for you. And listen, the person you are most powerfully positioned to help is you 2 years ago. When I think about passion, proficiency, and profit, and one of the questions we get a lot when we're talking about finding your niche is like, how proficient do I need to be? How far do I need to be? There's no magic number, but friend, you're helping yourself 2 years ago. As soon as you get into the thing, as soon as you, like when I started doing church media and tried to figure out how to capture footage in the early days when it was hard and difficult, there's different Kodaks and you had to change the Kodaks so they would edit better. And I was downloading different programs and getting stuck and spending hours trying to solve certain problems. I went through all that pain so I could solve somebody else's pain. And you are so powerfully positioned to help the person you were 2 years ago. And I want you to be aware of the curse of knowledge, because here's what happens if you're saying, but I'm not an expert. The curse of knowledge is a cognitive bias that occurs when an individual who is communicating with other individuals assumes they have a background knowledge to understand. What happens is in your area of expertise, and you are an expert, I really believe that, is you go, yeah, but everybody knows this. You go, but this is so obvious. This is so basic in this area. Like, doesn't everybody know this? That's actually a cognitive bias called the curse of knowledge. This bias is also called by some authors the curse of expertise. So when you've been doing something, you could start a channel for helping people learn soccer or helping people with the fundamentals of baseball, or some other sports discipline. But you go, but everybody knows these drills. I mean, I learned these in junior high, and then I did them in middle school, and I did them in high school. Like everybody, there's no need for that out there. That's the curse of knowledge. And you got to overcome that. And it really reminds me of early on when I met Heather Torres, who today is the co-host of the Think Media podcast. And she's an author and a speaker and has multiple millions of views on her videos on Think Media and is really a YouTube sensation. And when I met her, she had never done video. And one of her passions, she also has another channel. It's all about homeschool. And we were actually working on, because she actually has a gift to help other people get clarity and to help other people see their genius. But she had trouble seeing her own. That's called the curse of knowledge. And I'll never forget, she was there in the early days and helped me build Video Ranking Academy 1.0. And she had helped other people clarify their ideas, bring organization to courses, bring clarity, and had a background in digital marketing and all this kind of stuff. We met on Twitter. She wanted to learn video. And we were taking a break from the course recording. We took a walk, and she was thinking, like, I want to start this stuff as well. I want to start making videos about homeschool. And she's articulating this out, verbal processing. And she goes, I just don't know what I would say. And I don't know why anyone would listen to me. And so immediately I just go, well, could you tell me 5 things every new homeschool parent should know? She goes, oh yeah. What I would say is this. Like she flipped. Like I just triggered her with that question. And then I was like, what are the 3 biggest mistakes new homeschool parents make? And she's like, oh, this is what it would be. Boom, boom, boom. Then I go, Heather, how many books on homeschool and homeschooling have you read? And she's like, all of them. And like, she was serious. Like literally, she's like, I've read every single book, like probably not all of them, but like literally all of them. Like there's a good book. So I was like, okay, so hang on. You instantly know with a couple years of experience now, making mistakes, figuring out your way of doing it, going through curriculum, doing all this kind of stuff, reading books on it. You've done all this stuff. Heather, you're an expert. No one's maybe jumped through a computer or came to you over, your direct messages and knighted you and said, you're officially chosen and approved and ready to go. You have to choose yourself and recognize you can't wait for anyone else's approval. You can't wait for anybody else's permission. You can't wait for anybody else. You got to tap into your own expertise and kill the curse of knowledge. And she started to begin to see like, oh, wow, I actually do know a lot, but I just assumed if somebody else wanted to get into homeschool that they would just read the books. Most won't. And we learned from Brian Tracy that if you read just one book a year, for example, on a topic, one book a month, that'll be 12 books in a year. After a year's time, you will literally be in the top 1% of experts on planet Earth on the topic. If you read 3 books on one topic, you're in the top 10% of experts on the topic. So if you just clock some, it doesn't even have to be books. If you clock some time, study it, you've been through some mentorship, you had somebody else show you the ropes a little bit, you have so much to share with others when it comes to an area of expertise. And then here's the powerful thing. You just start, but remember, you're not going to stop growing because you are most powerfully positioned to help the person you were 2 years ago. You just need to be one step or a few steps ahead to keep helping to help them. And then watch, you just keep going because then you will always just be a few steps ahead. Early on, when I started to help people with YouTube, I just figured out how to make the videos look good. So I started to talk about cameras, lenses, and how to make videos look good. Then I started to learn how to make real money with affiliate marketing. So I started to help people learn how to do search-based content, make money with affiliate marketing. Today, I've got 21 income streams and our business is a whole team. And now Heather Torres and I speak at masterminds and get paid tens of thousands of dollars for one-on-one coaching. Because we just kept going. That wasn't what was happening years ago. It's what's happening now because we kept learning, we kept growing. Our results went up. So it was a progression. But don't worry about any of that. You just need to be one step ahead to start helping, and you start and commit to growth and help the person you were 2 years ago. But here's what's cool. There's actually 4 types of experts, and this is actually the secret path to becoming a leader in your niche, no matter where you're starting. Even if you would say, Sean, I don't even know if I have 2 years of experience. Watch this. Once you pick your niche through the 3 Ps, and you might say I'm a little bit low on proficiency, step 1, you can become the knowledge reporter. The first layer here is this massive opportunity for you to say, okay, I really am passionate about this subject, homeschool. And maybe you're not even a homeschool parent, or you're in the first year. Maybe it's cryptocurrency. Maybe it's NFTs. Maybe it's fitness. Maybe it's faith. Maybe it's politics. And when you're the knowledge reporter, you are simply gathering other experts and interviewing them. And so if you actually look at one of the best-selling personal development books of all time, it's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill was not a successful businessman. He went to Andrew Carnegie and the other leaders in the time and interviewed them and compiled the information he learned from them into a book, and it became one of the best-selling books of all time. He grew into being a successful businessman. And how do you think he did it? Because he was the knowledge reporter first. There's a channel called Evan Carmichael that's teaching personal development. He's kind of like, some people have called him the modern day Napoleon Hill, because what he does on his channel is he consolidates Steve Jobs and Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne The Rock Johnson's best tips into videos using fair use. He's a knowledge reporter. And now he is brought and speaks on stages, has written best-selling books, but he started being the knowledge reporter. What's interesting is if you study the Think Media journey, early on, I partnered with somebody else who was the original person who got me into video, Jeff Morse. And we did 250 videos on Think International, which was an interview show that planted a whole bunch of seeds of leadership in my life that are critical to what I'm doing today for years. Valley of Focus. Fast forward, best-selling author of the book YouTube Secrets. But what did Benji and I do? Interviewed 200 YouTube entrepreneurs, YouTubers, and all kinds of different niches. So how do we consolidate and get not just doing it ourselves, but actually tapping into being a knowledge reporter. So you have the opportunity, whether that's starting a video podcast or a podcast. And I want to encourage you, not only can that be incredibly profitable and cause a lot of growth, I think the more valuable thing is it'll cause you to grow, right? Watch. So then you also have the opportunity to become a knowledge broker. So what happens here? You might be saying now, man, especially in this niche finder course, we're learning about online courses, but I don't know if I'm ready to teach one. You may not be. So you know what you should do? You should be the knowledge broker. Well, what's that? Did you know you can be an affiliate for other people's programs? Did you know that you also can just curate the best information on topics? Like, you don't even have to actually have the person being interviewed come on your show. In fact, that's more of what Evan Carmichael does. He actually curates the top 10 lessons of success from all these old Bill Gates and Steve Jobs videos and puts them into one video. He gets Warren Buffett. He'll take Warren Buffett's 4-hour Berkshire Hathaway State of the Union and pull out the 5 minutes of content from that. That's a knowledge broker. You're a middleman for proven knowledge in an industry. But you also are able to be an affiliate for another expert. Like we have, and it's not open to everybody, but we have an affiliate program for Video Ranking Academy. So you start saying, oh, I don't know if I could ever build something like Video Ranking Academy, and I do want to help people with YouTube. You don't have to. You could be a knowledge broker. And in the process of that, being immersed in the course, living it, doing it, scaling it, doing all the stuff, maybe it's a few years later that you go, okay, now not only have I learned so much, but I'm ready for that next season. Think about Dave Ramsey and like a lot of programs like his. He has certified personal finance kind of consultant people. Did they create the framework or the curriculum? No, they did not. They are using his framework and his curriculum, and they're knowledge brokers of it. So if you really want to tap into your expertise, you can take the knowledge broker path, and notice that these grow. Because what happens to you if you actually traverse through these different stages, you personally grow at such an extreme level that the result is you eventually become the results expert. This is like a niche topic expert where you've done this stuff and you've gotten results. So have I figured out how to be the ultimate church communications director? Maybe not, but I have figured out how to do YouTube for churches. And so results expert could be results expert in a broad topic, but better is you become a results expert in something very specific, classical guitar. And maybe through growing through these other areas, you have actually gotten the results in the thing. And this is when we start looking at the expert where now you're the one who's actually being brought onto the podcasts and onto the video podcasts rather than actually bringing people onto your show. It's a progression. And this means you've done this stuff and you've gotten the results. Now, you might be able to parachute into that right now. You don't have to go through any of these. You can skip these steps. You can choose these steps. They don't have to be a progression, but these are 4 different types. All of them, by the way, are experts. Because when you're by the way, Napoleon Hill was an expert on the best principles for building profitable businesses, even though at the time he hadn't built one, because he got the information from everybody and he consolidated it. So he's an expert. Knowledge broker is an expert. Results expert's an expert. And then what ends up happening, committing to this process, is eventually you become the role model. And this kind of reminds me, there's a leadership coach named John Maxwell who wrote a book called The 5 Levels of Leadership. And essentially, the lowest level is like you're just positionally a leader. Maybe you've been under somebody like this. Like they had the title, but they weren't a good leader. Like that's the lowest level. Eventually, you begin to be a leader that's respected. There's a legacy there, etc. And what I would think about the role model is, The Rock was a results expert in professional wrestling. But today he's like people want The Rock to be the president. They're like, literally, like he would probably be pretty good. And so he's now a role model in multifaceted areas. That comes over time. That comes over legacy. It comes over staying in your discipline, and maybe your specific result begins to expand out. I hope we're living through that right now. That there's maybe the results expert of YouTube, but we're shifting and just hoping to just seeing where this could all go. So think about where you are in this journey, but be encouraged. My friend, if you are brand new and you're like, man, I feel like I need to grow a lot, learn a lot. One of the most powerful things you could do is start an interview show. Truly. What better place? By the way, my hunger for starting, I've started multiple now, was because of a hunger for wisdom. I was like, how cool is it that I can get subscribers and grow and even monetize this? But those things were not the things I prized the most. I prized the wisdom the most, the chance to talk to and learn from and ask questions of other experts. Because I had a hunch that if I immersed myself in learning and listening, taking notes and being a student, I was like, this is cool because I can let other people listen to this through YouTube. But then I just want to do this because I want to learn. I want to learn from these people. So these are just some options. Listen, not every YouTube channel do you even need to be positioned as an expert, right? Like Sean, I'm kind of more entertainment or whatever. You don't have to necessarily use any of the frameworks we're learning in this course, but I hope you're seeing how powerful they are and how they can trigger maybe a different perspective and positioning for you as you continue to grow. And so remember, you only need to be one step ahead to start helping people. And the person you're most powerfully positioned to help was you 2 years ago. And use the expert framework to grow your knowledge and your influence. And then coming up, we're going to dial in the details of your niche. So take a drink of water, refill your coffee, flip a fresh page on your journal, because friend, we got more to go through in the YouTube Niche Finder, and I will see you in the next session. I'm ready for a quick reset, but Heather, do your thing.
Yeah, definitely. So you have been on watching through several different sessions so far, a fire hose of information that's happening. And so what I want to do really quick is first, I want to encourage you to stand up and stretch. Man, have we we roll your shoulders back a little bit. Oh man, stand up.
I'm gonna actually use the restroom. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, sounds good. And then I'm actually going to set a timer for us. And here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to reflect on a few things that you've learned so far. Again, this is a fly on the wall experience. And so this is your opportunity to get this information first. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is I'm going to set the 5-minute timer. And I want you to think about a couple things. One, what's holding you back right now from getting started? If you feel stuck, have you decided on your niche already just through the frameworks that Sean has already talked about, the 3 Ps framework, and even understanding what type of an expert you are? And then how niched down are you going to go on your channel? Take 5 minutes, take out a fresh piece of paper, like Sean said, and journal through some of the questions that have been given to you already. So I'll set the timer and we'll see you guys back in 5 minutes. All right. Well, I hope that you used those 5 minutes to dial in more into the niche that you want on YouTube. And I love what Nancy said. Nancy said, just got a big insight from a good friend this week on my niche. So this is right on time, inspiring and clarifying into the valley of focus. Love that so much, Nancy, and so excited that you are here. We're going to jump into the next session. We have a few more for today. Thank you so much for being here with us. And if you're just jumping on and you want to know where the downloads are, those are actually below this video if you're on the watch page. And then if you are over on YouTube in the comment section, that's where the conversations are happening with other people who are watching the live stream. But Sean, let's get into one of my favorite topics, which is
Yes.
your
Fired up.
people. Who's your who?
All right. Session 10, y'all. Time to rally. Here we go. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. We just learned about the 4 types of experts, and while reset.
Energy, Sean, energy.
Here we go, energy. All right. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. I am so fired up for this next session where we're going to be talking about value proposition. Fall in love with the problem. Here is what we've learned. The creator who understands the problems and ambitions of their target audience best wins. The creator who understands the problems of the viewer of their YouTube channel and also the ambitions of the potential viewer of their YouTube channel best is going to win. And Albert Einstein said this: if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solutions. I love this as YouTube creators and YouTube entrepreneurs because it makes me think that you spending time in this course is a good investment. You even thinking more deeply about the problem your channel solves. In fact, are you spending that ratio of time thinking about the problem, thinking about the nuances of it, thinking about the details of it, thinking about the conversation happening in the viewer's head? You know, Robert Kiyosaki says the inside of every problem lies an opportunity. And so our goal is to fall in love with the problem. You know, YouTube entrepreneurs solve problems for a profit. And what we want to do is we want to get clarity on the specific problem that we solve with our content and our larger business. What a value proposition is it's a promise you make to potential customers, and then you fulfill that with your content, products, and or services. And so you might say, Sean, I don't really think about it like customers. Well, I want to challenge you to think about it like customers. You know, a viewer spending their time on your channel is essentially kind of a customer of the people putting ads on your channel, because your content is valuable enough for them to spend time on it, and advertisers want to get in front of them. But then here's my question. Why are you allowing YouTube to take a huge cut and the ad revenue to be diluted across all kinds of channels, when you actually could make a direct relationship with your viewers with your own merch, your own online courses, your own physical products, your own relationships with brand deals? So your value proposition is a promise you make. So when someone comes to your channel, you say, on this channel, here's my promise to you. You're going to be entertained. You're going to be educated. You're going to learn this. We're going to solve this problem. We're going to help you reach this destination. So what problem does your free content solve? Of course, in education, sometimes it's more clear, but even in entertainment, we can solve the problem of boredom. We can solve the problem of stress. People want a way to unwind after work. And imagine if your YouTube channel becomes known for the best YouTube channel for when I'm feeling down, it lifts me up. For the best YouTube channel for when I'm kind of feeling discouraged or depressed, it makes me laugh. Entertaining content solves a real problem that humans have. So what problem do you solve in your content? And what promise are you making to your viewers? Have you even thought about that? If you watch this channel, I promise you this. Now, that also might be intimidating, but think about the confidence and the assurance you have. As I've built up my confidence in my knowledge, my frameworks, as I've built my confidence in my ability to help you, I am confident to make you a promise that if you follow our frameworks and you follow the steps and you stay committed to this course, you will get results. The promise is more clarity. You're going to stand out more. You're going to make more money on YouTube. You're going to break through the noise. What promise are you making when it comes to your YouTube channel? And so, what are the viewers' pain points? And of course, I want you to be using your YouTube Niche Finder workbook, and you're going to have these questions in there. And so take some time to fill those out and think about this. What are the frustrations that drive your prospective viewer nuts? Like what are the things that are frustrating? I wish I could solve this. This is keeping me up at night. This is bothering me. And do people really care about the problem you're solving? This goes back to what vehicle, what niche are we in, taking us from Seattle to Florida? If we're answering questions people are not asking or trying to solve problems that aren't really that big of a problem, it's going to be a slow road. We're going to be walking through the snow uphill both ways on our way to Florida. Whereas if you actually are solving a problem that people really care about, which reminds me of our 5 profit tests, then you're going to have wind in your sails because you're answering questions people really want answers to and providing solutions. So this reminds me of This and That with Denise, which is such an inspiring channel. As one of our Video Reiki Academy students, in her legacy years, retired. She has started basically a whole new business as a YouTube entrepreneur, creating content. And she's a lifestyle channel sharing tips on traditional homemaking for today's homemaker. It's all about housewife life, cooking, cleaning, laundry, home organization. And if you want to learn more about the art and science of homemaking, she invites you to subscribe. She posts new videos weekly. She's raised 3 children and she's managed a home for more than 45 years. So she enjoys mentoring young homemakers and sharing her knowledge so that if you want to learn more about that, then subscribe. So what's the problem she solves? Well, all these specific homemaking questions, but also that this is kind of a lost art. There's a lot of people who are maybe raised that wish they had these skills or find themselves now in a place where they want to be a homemaker and they don't know how. YouTube is an incredible education tool to solve a problem. And what's so interesting is not only has Denise been crushing it on her channel, she started the aprondiva.com business model, selling aprons, custom aprons that she's doing. So you start realizing that, yes, it's incredible that she's grown to 50,000 subscribers. But now in retirement, she has created significant extra income and is continuing to sharpen her skills and sharpen her YouTube channel because she's found the intersection of her passion, proficiency, and a profitable business model. Now, when it comes to problems, here's a way to amp it up. There are 2 main things that motivate people. And you got to ask yourself, again, remember the first test, the pain test? Is this a 1 or a 10? Is this an urgent problem or is it really not that big a deal? The greater the desire for it, the greater the desire to alleviate the pain or to reach pleasure, these are the things that actually motivate people. So again, if people aren't that motivated, you go, I have a YouTube channel on this topic, and they go, oh, kind of sounds cool. They don't feel an urgency to watch it. But if you have a YouTube channel on something that sparks somebody, here's the indication of how much it might spark somebody. Pain or pleasure. The 2 things that motivate people are a fear of pain and the desire for pleasure. This is called in marketing escape and arrival. People want to escape pain and arrive at pleasure. So how can, through your YouTube channel, you help people become a better version of themselves and give them something that they want but they don't have? Remember, the creator who understands the problems and ambitions of their target audience best wins. So when you're designing your YouTube channel and picking your niche, think about how is it that your YouTube channel reduces pain and how does it lead people to pleasure? Remember that sometimes people buy vitamins, but only occasionally, but people always buy aspirin. So pain is actually the stronger of the two. It's kind of like, if you want when it comes to money, if you're really disciplined and you save your money and you wait a bunch of years, you'll be a millionaire when you retire. But that also sounds hard. And I just want a $6 Starbucks drink right now. Now, on the flip side, if I get an alert on my phone that says your credit card has been hacked and someone is spending all your money, you're going to turn off whatever you're doing, call the bank, cancel the credit card, urgent, because there's pain in the moment. Pleasure financially on the other side of work, I'm less interested. But if I'm experiencing pain, I want to solve it right now. So if you want massive YouTube channel growth, the level of pain that is connected to your YouTube channel and the problem you solve can really accelerate that. So fall in love with the problem. Can you solve an existing problem in a unique way? Sean, I feel like there's too many channels already answering this problem. Well, what is your unique way that you can maybe solve it? Can you take a known problem and reimagine it or redefine it? Can you view the problem from a different point of view? Is there a new problem that you can solve because of what that original problem solved or what even the solution caused? Can you narrow the problem down? Can you laser focus on one specific area of the problem? Again, somebody might have been like, well, they built a big digital marketing business. So you go, well, I'm going to make my brand all about just Facebook ads. Okay, somebody is doing digital marketing and everyone's teaching Facebook ads. Well, I'm going to actually teach just on messenger bots and DM bots, which would be automation that happens in the DMs on social platforms. Where somebody's, doing that. Well, I'm going to do just metaverse messenger bots. And so can you niche it even down by focusing on, yes, maybe it's the bigger problem, but you start to specialize in a much more specific area. And then what are the audience's ambitions waiting for them on the other side of the problem? And what is the audience's future ideal? So as you weave into your channel, if you can help people solve a problem, but unto what? What ambition will that lead them to? And if you can articulate the problem clearly and offer a practical way to make it go away, people will demand a solution from you. This is very powerful. So especially as you build your initial audience on YouTube, if people feel like you understand them, you understand what they're going through, and you can articulate the problem clearly, start helping them solve it, people will say, I want more. People will ask more questions. Sometimes if you feel like, I'm not getting a lot of passion. I actually do have viewers. There's not a lot of passion there. The problem might not be clear enough. It might not be big enough. They just might not be 10 out of 10 on even necessarily caring. It's not that they don't care. It's just, what are the most urgent things that I want to solve? I want to really work from home. I got to figure out a way to do it. My kids are going crazy. I got to figure out a way to get them to calm down. My new baby won't sleep through the night. I got to figure out how to get the baby sleeping through the night. I have no clue on how to handle my money. I have no clue on how to handle my relationships. I've been massively successful, and it doesn't mean much because my inner life is not built out. I got spiritual problems. I'm trying to figure out meaning in this whole thing. When you're clear on the problem you solve and you offer practical ways to make it go away, it can lead to huge opportunities of profit. And it kind of reminds me of Amy from the Frugal Diaries. So she's built her channel around tips and tools for frugal living. By the way, one of her most popular videos is on frugal living for one person. Because chances are, right? Okay, so you're one person. Maybe you've lost someone, or as one person, you don't have dual income. So really understanding your audience, that video did very well for the individual that has limited funds, so is looking for strategies to live frugally. Now, she's crossed the 10,000 subscriber mark, but what's so cool is she's doing crowdfunding and affiliate marketing, and she's got ad revenue, and she's got super fans supporting her through buying me a coffee. She has understood the problem. People with limited money wanting frugal strategies and money-saving hacks to live well and live as good as possible with this amount of resource. Really powerful, clear problem, and she is doing great. But in the next session, stick with me, because we just fell in love with the problem we're trying to solve, but now It's time to fall in love with the person we want to help. So keep going, and I will see you in the next session. Quick drink. Here you go.
Loving this, the Frugal Diaries. And yes, that video is big, and I'm making a new series. So excited that you're here and got to see that you are part of what we're doing. Really, really excited. I know. See, when you're a success student, it gets really fun here at Think Media. And yes, we love to use our Think Media students as examples because they are the ones changing the world, and we want people to follow them for the things that they're doing. So really excited for the Frugal Diaries and for all of the examples of the students that we have. We have so many students inside of Video Ranking Academy, and I just want to welcome so many new Video Ranking Academy members. Let me know if you are in the comments right now. If you are brand new or if you're an OG, let me know so I can say hello to you in the comments. We're going to get started with the next session when Sean comes back up.
Here we go. So we just fell in love with the problem, but now it's time to fall in love with your perfect person. This is what's called your target audience. And remember, the creator who understands the viewer best wins. The creator who understands the perfect person they are talking to the greatest degree of nuance and ever increasing levels of understanding is going to have the most success on YouTube. Because here's what is one of the most powerful insights when it comes to finding your niche. See, many people are already covering your topic. So to be different, simply narrow your focus to a specific person. You know, we kind of touched on this when we said if you wanted to compete with Think Media, if you competed on just YouTube advice, well, by the way, there's still room, but we're going to be more of a force to be reckoned with. But if you narrow it to a specific person, YouTube for real estate agents, or YouTube for e-commerce businesses, or YouTube for corporations and bigger brands and not solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, all of a sudden you have a powerful niche. We're not even competitors anymore. Nobody's even going to know about both of us because you have narrowed it down to a specific person. And that is more of the angle of your niche. And what we're really talking about here is demographics and psychographics. And of the two, I would argue that actually psychographics is where your biggest opportunity lies. See, for some people, they just think, okay, well, the person I'm trying to reach is, 36 years old. They live in a particular area, or maybe they're female. Maybe they're a mom. Okay, well, there's still a lot of moms. Maybe they're single. Maybe they earn 200K a year or whatever. Okay, great. Which all that stuff is important. I'm not trying to say it's not important. But psychographics, especially on YouTube and online marketing, are really where you build a fan base and an audience. So what is psychographics? Well, that's more like they're an NBA fan. They really value family. They really value their good saver. They enjoy island vacations. They love vacations. They're a dog lover. Animal lovers, myself included, are fanatical. They spend money on their pets. They love their pets. They talk to them. Do you talk to your pets? I talk to my pets. Does your voice change when you talk to your pets? Oh, Sophie, so good to see you. I talk to my Chihuahua. She's deaf too. She can't even hear me. So, likes classical music. When you start to narrow in the details of psychographics, things get really interesting. So I want you to be using your workbook because you're going to see trigger questions in there like, what is their age? That's a demographic question. But also, what are their passions? What are their hobbies? What do they do in their free time? When you understand who you're talking to, it affects the positioning of your entire channel. So it helps you pick a powerful niche in your positioning in the marketplace. But of course, this is also going to influence the very videos you make. And your next level on YouTube is going to come on the other side of your next level of understanding of who you're talking to. Because it happens too much, friends, myself included. Sometimes we are creating content that people are kind of interested in, but it's not even the content they're really asking for. And you go, Sean, well, how do I know what they're really asking for? You got to get to know them. It's kind of like relationships and marriage. I've been married 16 years. And when you learn about the 5 love languages, gifts, words of encouragement, physical touch, quality time, what you learn is like my wife Sonia's love language is gifts, but sometimes I like to my main love language is acts of service. So I think, well, she's feeling loved because I provide and because I work hard and because I give us, I fight for our lifestyle, which is true. She feels loved by that, but her love language is gifts. So I'm hustling hard. I'm working, I'm providing, I'm doing all this kind of stuff, but I'm not filling up her love tank. It's not hitting. It's not resonating. It's fine. But if I want to knock it out of the park, which I do, because I know what happens on the other side of that, Netflix and chill, let's keep it PG. Listen, if I really want to take it to like the highest level, I want to tap into what she really wants most. And how can that happen? It can only happen because I understand her. Have you ever been in a relationship where you feel like a friend has not taken the time to actually get to know you, or to actually figure out how to communicate with you, or to actually go to the depths of understanding you? And the person who does really resonates with you, friend, the creator who understands the viewer best wins, because it's going to influence your entire approach to your YouTube business. So look at the questions in your workbook, but let's go a little bit deeper. As we're understanding the person, who is the common enemy? Now, this might be a concept you've never heard before, but it matters, especially as we continue to niche down. And my friends, we're niching down at like 50 to 100 to 300 degrees of distinction here. That's why this course is so powerful. Who's the common enemy? Now, you might be like, I'm a peaceful person. Nobody's my enemy. That's probably not true. And listen, nothing rallies a community more than a common enemy. So when you ask yourself, who's your perfect person? You want to know who's a common enemy that you both agree on that's an enemy. We all need a nemesis. Now you might go, again, Sean, I'm not, what do you mean? Am I calling somebody out? Am I picketing? That's not what I'm saying. A common enemy, it could be a person, but it could be a business. More likely, it's an ideology or something harmful to your community. So like, what is hurting the community that you want to serve? So it could be a harmful belief. Like the community I want to serve, like not only am I passionate about YouTube creators, but I'm also passionate about course creators. I think my favorite business model is building an online course because it leverages, because it scales, it gives you freedom, and it helps what we experience. One of our highest values at Think Media is family. And the way we've structured our business leads to freedom. It allows us to honor family because you can create a course once and sell it multiple times. So saying that, one of my biggest enemies is shady and sketchy and scammy online course creators. And people who go, I do want to do that, but like, I don't want to do it in a scammy, weird way. Well, hopefully they resonate with us. So that could be an example. So who is a common enemy that your person would agree on? It could be, is it a mindset or a belief that you oppose? Is it a common way of thinking or worldview that you passionately oppose? What do you stand for and what do you stand against? That's the common enemy. Now, we met Ben, and Ben from Keto Camp, his enemy is diabetes. His enemy is the standard American diet. His enemy is a lack of good health information being shared. And again, Ben, he lost his dad to diabetes. So his why and his passion, it goes so deep because he's not against a person. He's against a disease that he's fighting and realizing the power of good health and of different practices, because the way his dad died was preventable had he made different health choices. So he's on a driven mission, and others that maybe have lost loved ones or that are losing their health or have lost their health, they rallied together to say, man, I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel energetic. Man, I want to be a part of this. And I will happily pay good money to be a part of Ben's membership site, because what better investment could I make than in my knowledge and in my health? Now, not everybody, some people might go, oh, why is he selling a course? That person's not for you. Attract the best, repel the rest. You have a common enemy and someone goes, man, I'm on this mission with you. If this is an expensive supplement that'll be good for my health, good investment, because I want to fight sickness. Okay. So that's an example of what a common enemy could be, right? And he's on a mission to educate 100 billion people on planet Earth. This is Bobby Eberly, one of our VRA students. We had mentioned earlier that in politics, it can actually be a little bit clearer, right? Because it's pretty polarizing. So he has a conservative news channel. There are some people that he'd probably call his actual enemy, right? But he does 13-minute news hour episodes. So he's done a couple of cool things. He's 100,000 subscribers, 13-minute shows. And it sometimes goes a little long, but it's just this faithfulness to convey the news from a conservative perspective in bite-sized pieces. But who's the common enemy? Two different ideas on how the country should be ran, the world should be ran. You've probably noticed that's actually very powerful to pick a side, to pick a fight. And let me ask you, what's waiting for you on the other side of really standing for what you believe in? By the way, not picking a fight for just controversy's sake, for actually going deep inside and finding where you really stand, because people will rally to you once you start making a stand. Who's the common enemy? And so, for us, some of our common enemies, as we mentioned, are other, by the way, here's some of mine to trigger some of your ideas. I actually kind of treat other social media platforms as enemies. Like, we still use them, but in my opinion, other social media platforms compared to YouTube are super weak. YouTube is the best. And I would hope I believe that, but it's what I deeply believe. Because I'm like, it's the only platform where your content lives forever. So I'm doing TikTok now through the help of the team. But I'm like, but if we stop doing TikTok, what will we have tomorrow? Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm still getting views from videos I uploaded 8 years ago. YouTube's better. So I like the other social media platforms hear me, but I actually have a lot of polarizing messaging that YouTube is the best. Other enemies, scammy internet marketers. Other enemies, teachers that don't have actual results. I am frustrated by people who teach that haven't got results yet. I would rather they be knowledge reporters or knowledge brokers until they've actually gotten results. Again, people who teach theory that haven't actually been in the trenches, that people want, they connect with us because we're so obsessed with actually being player coaches. I've got other enemies, evil in the world. One of my enemies, influencers leading kids with toxic and destructive values and lifestyles. Business gurus leading people into greed and selfishness and away from peace and health. Some of my enemies. And no judgment. Like, I'm just sharing mine. And what are yours? Who's a common enemy? And you don't have to fear the competition doing the same thing as you, because your values and your point of view are going to repel some, but it'll attract others. Do you see how this will make you so different? Because you might do the same niche topic as somebody else, but you're coming at it from a different point of view. These are the secrets of building a powerful personal brand. The clearer you are about what you stand for, the more you'll be able to attract an audience that resonates with your YouTube channel and your online business. So remember that your niche isn't just your topic, it's the perfect person your content is for. So go through your workbook and answer the questions about who that person is, demographics and psychographics. What enemies do they have? And who's a common enemy that you can rally? Nothing gathers an audience better than a common enemy. We're in a fight together. And think about that. Well, your YouTube channel is kind of optional. I might watch it or not. You can have some success with that. But when you actually call people onto a mission, like Ben is doing, he's like, we are in an all-out, I'm declaring war on diabetes. That kind of thing fires people up. How can you fire people up with some of the things you're passionate about, your common enemy, and understanding your perfect person is going to influence your niche and everything you create. But coming up, we're actually going to learn why most creators are failing on YouTube and how to immediately separate yourself from the pack. So I will see you in the next session. Should we just roll?
Yeah, I'm just going off of your energy. So if you are in it, I'm in it.
Oh man, we'll see. I feel weird, but I feel great. You know, I mean, it's a lot of teaching. 10-3 so far. Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. In this session, we're going to be talking about selfish content versus service content, how to stand out in a crowded niche. And I actually want to show you where I first learned this concept, and it was from Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, I co-wrote a book called YouTube Secrets with my friend Benji Travis, and Benji actually was able to go to VaynerMedia, talk to Gary about the book. Gary actually kind of endorsed the book, which was really cool. But there was a clip during that meeting where Gary really brought some clarity to this idea. And so let's check this out. And then we're going to discuss this a little bit more in terms of selfish content versus service content.
Are you putting out entertainment or are you putting out education? Because 90% of people are putting out selfish content. What was your question?
Completely starting from zero versus somebody that has resources or team or already started building an influence.
You know, it's kind of one and the same. Like, it's kind of like back to something we talked about before, which is like making the best thing for the end audience. I have synthesized my thoughts into entertainment and education. That has become very clear to me that either you're doing entertainment or you're doing education. And I actually do think that certain people like myself, when you're doing entertainment and education, you can really get crazy. But that's what I would say. I would say to somebody with resources, a 4-person team, like, look, forget about everything else. Because look, I did all my content by myself for 7 years. People forget that. They're like, oh, easy for you to say. I'm like, I'm like, you're not, you know, it's that iceberg. Yeah, I'm like, you see me. I'm like, you know, I'm like, you see me now. I think it's about, are you putting out entertainment or are you putting out education? Because 90% of people are putting out selfish content. 90% of people are putting out press releases. They want you to think something about them. They're making it selfish for themselves. They wanted to go to Maui and surf, so that's the content you're getting. But did that bring you any value? They want you to think they're cool. 90% of the content right now are people acting like PR agents of themselves. I'm asking people to look like educators or entertainers. Do you think about the audience first or don't you?
Do you think about the audience first or don't you? And so some big takeaways. One, are you in entertainment or education? And are you making selfish content or service content? Gary Vee said 90% of people are putting out selfish content. And one of the things that we'll learn is that if you start putting out service content, wow, you will experience more growth than you could have ever imagined. So service content is crafted with your ideal person in mind, right? And so Kevin Kelly put it this way: you can obsess about serving your audience, or you can obsess about beating the competition. Both work, but of the two, obsessing about your audience will take you further. This quote means to me a lot because sometimes I realize, okay, am I creating content because I want to look good? Am I also creating content that's trying to compete with my peers? And I fell into this trap years ago where I was actually even answering questions or creating videos almost in response to my peers, whether they knew me or not, kind of out of insecurity. I felt like I was having to defend myself. Nobody was even saying this. I just was in a lot of comparison and I was just worried about my competitors. So watch the mindset shift. But as soon as I get clear on the person I want to serve, which is not my competitor, they're doing their own thing. I'm trying to serve somebody who's just getting started, has no clue who any of these people are. And all they care about is the problem that they have. They care about the ambition they want to reach. So am I obsessed with myself? Am I obsessed with beating the competition? Or am I obsessed with my audience and serving my audience? Sometimes if you're motivated by just trying to beat the competition, Kevin Kelly says, it could work. But of the two, serving your audience is going to take you a lot further. So here's kind of the difference between selfish content and service content. And foundationally, think about how this can influence the niche positioning of your channel. So selfish content makes you look good. it is a reaction to your competition. It's what you want. Well, these are the videos I wanted to make. It's for your convenience. Well, these videos were convenient for me. It's thinking of yourself first, and it's lazy because you haven't taken the time to get to know your perfect person. Now, is it bad for your videos to make you look good? I'm not saying that. Is it bad to think about yourself? I'm not saying that either, but remember what Gary just taught us. Do you think about your audience first or don't you? Are they an afterthought? Are they a means to an end so you can reach your goals? Or who you think about first? This is radical in a me, influencer, selfish, obsessed world. So therefore, if you tap into service content, you will be so different in a world of a lot of selfishness and selfish content. So how's service content different? Well, service content, watch, makes the viewer look good. You're thinking about them becoming the hero. You're helping them solve a problem. You're helping them reach an ambition. Service content worries about the customer, not the competition. It starts saying, I don't care if I get invited to the cool kids table at the event in my niche. I don't care if I get the respect of my peers. This is hard. This is my own therapy session, friends. Like, I don't care if, why am I not getting DMs or acknowledgement? Why do these other people in my niche not follow me? Who cares? Are you helping the viewer? By the way, when you become obsessed, I heard the secret of Amazon.com success. 3 things that Jeff Bezos is focused on over the years. Love him or hate him. 3 things. Clearly, their revenue and they've grown. Number 1, they obsess about the customer. Number 2, they obsess about the customer. And the third is they are obsessed about the customer. They have thought about the customer experience. One of the things they did was Amazon put reviews on their website. Commonplace today, but when people said it, they go, wait a minute, if people can review products, they might review them negatively. And if they review them negatively, people won't buy them. But Jeff thought, yeah, but they'll love Amazon because if the product does suck and gets negative reviews, then people don't want to buy them. And if we obsess about the customer getting it fast, and if we obsess about, and it has led to being obsessed with the customer first. Service content's about what they want. Service content makes their life more convenient. And service content thinks of them first. It's not easy. In fact, it's difficult, but friend, it's worth it. And listen to this quote from Zig Ziglar. The truth is, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. Service content is not simply a sacrificial path to doom and gloom where you just completely lay yourself out there and you never achieve any of your goals. This is the framework. If you think about the audience first, well, then sure enough, your videos resonate with the audience. More people view your channel, more people subscribe, and you still get the silver play button. If you go the selfish route, of course, there's exceptions where you go, wow, but what about this influencer or that influencer that seems so self-obsessed? It works for some, but I also wonder ultimately what's happening to their soul in the process. And I just think about what's more important, who you are as a person ultimately, or a silver play button. Let's get the silver play button, but let's not sacrifice being a good human being in the process. So if we lead with service content, what's so funny is on the other side of it, the money and the lifestyle and the vacations and the other things will follow because you'll build a profitable business and you'll do it in such a way that you have respect and gratitude and people will love your channel. They'll be grateful. And so the result will be if you can have everything in life that you want if you will help other people get what they want. But keep going because in the next session, we're going to take all of these things we've been learning and now we're going to create a catchy tagline and brand slogan for your channel so you can clearly articulate the value of your channel in a one simple sentence. So I'll see you in the next session.
Session 13, Sean. Wow, we are crushing through it. Would you like a break or what would you like?
2-minute break. I'm going to stretch. And so, yeah, just
All right. So if you are watching us live right now, we are in the comments. And if you have a question that is pertaining to any of these sessions, you've heard a lot, right? 12 different sessions. If you have questions with that, put them in the chat because we have the opportunity to star them. And I want to, I have one, and so the Canva classroom, your question that was about how do you take this and then utilize it for the video topics. We just talked about that. So a lot of your questions are actually being answered as we go. But if you have a question after this, Daisy, will you type out? Daisy's in the background as well. She can type out if you would like to submit a question after we are done with this recording. She can put that on there and then be able to allow you to ask that question, and then we can answer it so that it's inside of the course. So if something pops up after these sessions, then you'll be able to do that. All right, we are going to take a 2-minute break.
That's good.
Oh, was that
was
enough
the
of a
2-minute break? Yeah.
Sean does not want to break. Sean wants to go right into it. Come on,
Aha.
energy, loving it. So fun.
All right,
13,
here we go.
We're almost done.
All right, y'all, here we go. 3, 2, 1. In this session, I'm excited because we are going to craft your catchy tagline and clear brand slogan. And so the goal here, right, is to sort of make a punchy sentence that summarizes, wow. 13 sessions, friends. We're going from the top. I had a scratchy throat. We'll see how far I make it. 3, 2. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. In this session, we're going to craft your catchy tagline and clear brand slogan. And so a brand slogan is the advertising tagline that conveys the brand's spirit in the shortest way possible. In just a few words, you're expected to grasp the vibe of your brand. Now, you may have heard some of these, like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, or Nike, just do it, or Maybelline, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. So as personal brands, we actually want to be a little bit more specific than that, but those would be called brand slogans, right? For personal brands and YouTube channels, your goal is to clearly articulate the value you provide and the promise of your channel in one quick sentence. And so here's our framework for this. It can start with I. You're probably introducing yourself as the one that is helping people. I, or if it's we, like at Think Media, we help you now because it's a team of creators. Secondly, help, or some other form of the word help. I serve, I help people. Now, the more specific, the better. The next is achieve a result. What will you help them do, achieve, or become? And then finally, without pain. This is optional, but you could help people get there with less time, less pain, or less money. And so at Think Media, we share the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. It's kind of a media brand, or rather a kind of the channel vision. I also can change this around, having the vision and the clarity and where it's all going can be clear, but in different scenarios, I might say it in a different way. I might say, yeah, on Think Media, I help people learn about the best tips and tools for building their influence with online video. Tips, that's like the strategies, and tools, it's like the cameras. And so if you like that kind of stuff, click subscribe. So kind of as like a moldable tagline. And so you don't have to feel too concrete about it necessarily, but it'll give you direction. It'll give the viewer a clear way to understand what you're all about. Now on LinkedIn, for example, I kind of changed it a little bit. On LinkedIn, in my bio, it says, I help leaders build their followings and profits with video. On Instagram, I say, I help people build their influence with online video. When I'm in an Uber and someone says, so what do you do? I say, I work in marketing. Because I maybe don't want to talk about it. My mom says, what do you guys even do? I'm like, I own a video production company. So depending on what room you're in, you might say things a little bit differently, but have you made, and I would ask you to start making, a kind of a tagline for your channel. Now, this is just guidance, and it doesn't always have to be exactly like this. In fact, here's a couple different examples. Here's AJ Holmes, and these are some Video Ranking Academy students. Modern media ministry made easy. So modern media ministry made easy. Kind of cool because remember, it's not just media ministry and how do you do it, but also without pain. Made easy. I'd love to have it be easy rather than hard. So it's kind of a nice flow there. And he doesn't even have the I help part. He just kind of has a really clear tagline and installing wall displays and audio video systems on site for different types of churches. It's really cool what he's doing. And his mission is to help any size church take advantage of technology and reach beyond their four walls. Here's another one. So Createful Art with Ashley Krager. But listen, acrylic lessons weekly. So one of the ways she's niched down is acrylic lessons. And on her cover, Learn to Paint with Ashley Krager, weekly acrylic lessons. It's clear. It's not that said that way. It's not super smooth, but I have total clarity about what it is. And I love that there's a niche of not just art, but acrylics being the discipline she's focusing on. And essentially, how to paint with acrylics. She says this is a place to learn how to paint with acrylics while you relax and get creative. And so really cool and really clear. This is Drew Blackstone, getting you to and through retirement. Kind of cool tagline, kind of a catchy tagline, getting you. So I help you. I'm getting you to and through retirement. And so it's an incredible clarity about what his channel is about. So what is your tagline? What is your verbal pitch that you may say in videos to encourage people to subscribe? And I encourage you to, number one, brainstorm about this, write it down, start refining it. Number two, to immediately start articulating it in your video, and don't worry about it being perfect. You can say this in your videos, you can put it on your cover image, but it can change a lot. And by a lot, I don't mean that you go, the #1 Minecraft tutorial channel turns into the #1 snowboard tips channel. Like that would be a little, but over the years, I've noticed that my tagline has evolved and that I kind of use it to go different directions at times. For example, here's a couple I wrote down that are all sort of the same thing, but following this framework, I could say something like this. I help time-starved entrepreneurs create simple YouTube videos that build their businesses on autopilot in just 5 hours a week. That's pretty good. Like I was writing that down in preparation for this course. And sometimes, depending on what room I'm in, I might say something like that. It's a written tagline. And I could also put that on my brand slogan on my cover, especially if I wanted to go hard on entrepreneurs. I could say, helping entrepreneurs create simple YouTube videos in 5 hours a week. Cool. So don't overthink it. It can evolve over time. In fact, in the past, Think Media's used to be helping you go further, faster in media. Cool. But like, what does that even mean? That's why I changed it. Some people liked it. They're like, that's cool. Kind of rhymes. But what does it even mean? So I wanted it to get more specific. So helping you go further, faster. Well, that sounds cool. In media. Well, it's somewhat clear, but what could media be? It could be video, photography, internet, IT. Like, I don't know. Like media is a pretty broad. So I actually niched down as I studied and learned. And as I'm trying to help you do, it can actually niche down over time. But by the way, old videos where I said that are not invalidated. We're still going in the same direction. I was going in the right direction, but it's okay to refine this over time. And I've continued to niche it down. I think probably my most clear way of saying it is I help purpose-driven people build highly profitable YouTube channels. And know that, again, if I go into different rooms, I might tweak it a little bit. That's just you saying, what would I say in an elevator pitch or this or that? So ultimately, here, don't overthink it, but use this framework and use your workbook to clearly articulate the value of your channel. And notice what we've done here. In the past couple sessions, we've defined the problem. That's what we help people with. That's the problem we solve. And the type of person we are serving. So you could say, I help millennial moms create a budget that leaves them with thousands of dollars of extra money a month or something without having to sacrifice the luxuries they love the most. So it's kind of like I help a specific group of people achieve a specific result. If I can eliminate pain in that sentence, great. And you might say something on your cover image like modern ministry, media ministry made easy, but verbally what you say in your video could be more relational too. Like it just doesn't have to be robotic. Like in your, when you say your tagline, that's why as the team now, Omar or Heather, Nolan, we will constantly pitch our promise on Think Media, but we might say it in different ways. Like, and we also might go super short. We might sometimes say, welcome to Think Media in this video, and we don't even say it. Like, so like it's not, you don't have to become so static or almost like dogmatic, like every single time I have to say my tagline perfect. But the power of having one, even as you update it in your other social media profiles, is people are going to start knowing what you stand for, how you can help them, where you will take them, what problem you solve, and you're going to see growth on the other side of that clarity. But let's keep going, because we're actually going to get to know our perfect person better in the next session by going to the places they hang out. So I will see you in the next session. Keeping it moving. What are we doing? All right. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. In this session, we're going to be talking about immersing yourself in the places they hang out. Who's they? They is your perfect person, right? And so the question is, where does your ideal viewer hang out? In terms of if you're still really getting clarity now, you're like, all right, I've got my passion, I've got my proficiency, I've got my profit. But as I'm thinking about my niche, who's all this for? Because I know that it's not just the topic I select, it's also the person that it's for. So who am I most powerfully positioned to reach? Myself 2 years ago. Well, what would I be doing? Where was I? And specifically, we're talking about things like, are they in any Facebook groups? What books are they reading? These are the places they hang out. What TV shows do they watch? Where do they get their news? What podcasts do they listen to? What YouTube channels do they watch? One of the things you should be asking is, what are the 3 to 5 to 10 YouTube channels they watch now? How can I be different from those YouTube channels? What can my unique angle be, even on multiple channels they watch? When someone's passionate about something, call it RV life or tiny homes. When someone watches HGTV home shows, chances are they don't just watch one. That's a very rare person. And HGTV has created 8,342 different variations. Hometown Fixer, Hometown Lover, Flip the Flop, House Flip Japan, House Flip Bungalow Miami. It's never ending. And so when you realize like someone's passionate about a particular type of content, you're just trying to figure out your unique angle inside of that world. So what are the other YouTube channels that they are watching? Listen to this. Who do they respect and learn from? So who are some of the leaders in that space? And who do they follow on social media? And what social media platforms do they spend the most time on? Remember, the creator who understands the viewer best wins. So as you begin to clarify, get to know, and in marketing, what would be called create a customer avatar around ultimately who your ideal viewer is, your perfect person is, one of the best ways to get insights, as well as to get continual insights about what videos should you make next? What are their current pain points right now? How has this most recent season in the world been affecting them? What are they worried about now? What is on their mind now? That is on the other side of hanging out in the places they hang out. And I would invite you to question if you're in the right niche, if you don't already hang out in these places. Now, of course, maybe you're not very active. Maybe you're not a book reader. Maybe you don't really watch TV. That's fine. It's not that you have to start watching TV, but you're most powerfully positioned to help the person you were 2 years ago. So a lot of this should come natural. Where do you get your news? Where do you hang out or where you learn about, because maybe you start learning, wow, I didn't even know that there's Discord groups and Facebook groups for these that I could actually immerse myself in, because you are your person. Just probably a few steps ahead, a few years ahead, right? That's the person you're most powerfully able to help. So where do you hang out and where can you meet them and learn more about them? And one of the most important things here is write this down and look at this in your workbook. Ask yourself, what subcultures are they a part of? What subcultures are they a part of? There's a book by Seth Godin called We Are All Weird. And he says this in the book: World of Warcrafters, LARPers, live action role playing, Settlers of Catan, the board game, weird. Beliebers, Swifties, One Directioners, weirder. Paleos, vegans, carb loaders, vegetarians, I don't know the word, pretty weird. Mets fans, Yankee fans, Bears fans, definitely weird. Face it, we are all weird. My friend, this is the opportunity that we have on YouTube right now. And this is the power of this course, YouTube Niche Finder. And this is what he teaches, is that the end of mass marketing is over. We are now in the emergence of tribes. And so if you haven't actually gotten super clear as it pertains to your YouTube channel positioning, this is a huge opportunity. Like when you think about we are all weird, think about these subcultures: CrossFit, churchgoers, geeks, punk rockers, surfers, bikers, van lifers, vegans, biohackers, new moms, parents that have lost a child, the chronic illness community. What is the clear person and what place, what subculture is this person immersed in? And how can you find, one of the journeys we've been on is my wife, Sonia, has a chronic illness called gastroparesis. We found books about gastroparesis, Facebook groups about gastroparesis. Perhaps someday she'll have a channel helping people in gastroparesis. We've been through medical things. We've seen miracles happen. We have a son today that we didn't know we'd be able to have. It's been an incredible journey. But I've seen that there are a lot of chronic illness communities and people want encouragement, answers, relief, just empathy, people just able to connect with them in that space. So we're living in a world of the emergence of tribes that give you the opportunity to plant your flag in a YouTube channel that can really resonate with a small group of people. It could be carb loaders, right? And so ask yourself, who are the leaders in the subculture? And I would encourage you to follow them, learn from them, study them a little bit, and hang out in those places. And listen, not for comparison. And sometimes it's important to mute people on social media if you're falling into the comparison trap. But I'm saying so that you better understand the niche. You see what kind of conversations, you might say, Sean, I want to respond to the comments on my videos, but I'm not getting comments yet. Well, who are the leaders in the subculture and what are the pain points that are showing up in the comments of those channels? Inside of that could be a lot of insights where we can't even get to all the comments on Think Media. We do as much as we can, blocks of time throughout our week where we answer as many comments as we can. But there's probably more than probably, I guarantee you, there's 10, 20, 30, 50 channel ideas in the Think Media comments that says, wow, that's actually a unique problem that Think Media, even at the pace they're at and everything they're doing, they're not going to veer off and solve that weird vertical. That becomes a potential opportunity for you to niche down. And it reminds me of Mark and Julie from RV Love, a very passionate subculture. They share helpful and inspiring and entertaining videos about RV life, and they help you make the most of your RV life. They have a book, sold 20,000 copies, called Living the RV Life. Their new book's already a bestseller, RV Hacks, 400 Ways to Make Life on the Road Easier, Safer, and More Fun. Their YouTube channel is doing great, 53,000 subscribers, multiple different business models around it. And here is the interesting thing. It's a weird subculture. Like Isaiah and Heather Torres on the Think Media team actually bought an RV. And here's what I know about the RV life. I do not want to live the RV life. Heather does. And she's weird, right? Now flip it. It's a weird group of people. They're very passionate. I'm trying to go to a nice hotel. I'm trying to stay home, actually. But on the flip side, I'm also trying to go run 13 miles this weekend and I actually enjoy it. You probably go, that's weird that you enjoy it. Like, we're all weird. Friend, I want to encourage you. There is so much opportunity waiting for you by tapping into weird. Where does your weird audience hang out? And how can you deeply connect with them? Your weirdness is an opportunity to connect with other weird people. And when you really find this we are all weird emergence of tribes, opportunity, like the deep, so we're afraid to niche down that much. I want to encourage you, niche down to that subculture, plant your flag in that subculture, find that passionate subculture, which is you online. And the internet affords us the opportunity of building whole businesses and channels and communities in really weird and unique niches. And who are the leaders in that subculture? What can you learn from them? But coming up, we're going to talk about the one thing guaranteed to make your channel unique. I know we've learned a lot, but this next session is the icing on the cake. So I will see you in the next video. I think we can rock it, man. I mean, here we go. We're in the home stretch. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder full screen. Why not? 3, 2. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. I am so excited because this session is all about you. Here's the thing. You make your channel unique. In fact, this is one reason why your channel will always be unique if you're involved, because you are unique. Listen to this. Did you know that there is no one like you out of the 7.9 billion people on Earth? It's true. And when you actually think about these different details that make you you, your genetics are unique. Your physical characteristics, unique. Your personality is different. Your attitude is different. Your perspective, your habits, your intellect, your goals, your experiences, your relationships, your creativity, your passion, the way you communicate, your humor, your taste. So the opportunity, as we've clarified our passion, proficiency, and our profit, we're even thinking about our values and our whys. You know, what's our why? How do we do things differently? One of the biggest opportunities for you standing out in your niche is not trying to be somebody else, but it's you becoming you times 2. You amplifying who you already are and tapping into you who make your channel unique. And here's what we need to know. Ultimately, you are building a personal brand business. Now, one of the things you're going to see inside of your Niche Finder channel ideas tool, we have all kinds of different lists in there for you. One of the lists is actually great niches for faceless channels. There's a possibility of creating channels where somebody else does a voiceover and you use B-roll clips, or you use OPC, other people's content, through fair use. And that's one path that has a massive opportunity on YouTube. In fact, when it comes to having a niche, sometimes it's really smart to think about, maybe I want to start a channel like that. But if you want to build a personal brand channel, that's a channel where you're the main character on the channel. You got to know you're building a personal brand business. You are the brand. You know, it kind of reminds me of how Jay-Z said it. And he said, I'm not a businessman. I am a business, man, right? Like, I am a business. And you got to know that you are a business. And so this course is not a course ultimately on personal branding. And we have a personal branding masterclass and course that I highly recommend if you want to go deeper on this. But here's just a few triggers that will help you amplify your difference. And this is the cornerstone. This is the linchpin, because we have all these other things. You're like, okay, yeah, my values, but other people kind of share my values and my why. Okay, yeah, my topic, I figured that out. Here, friend, are some things to amplify and clarify that can really help you niche down. One is your point of view. That's your unique way of viewing the problem, your approach to the solution. One is your personality. What makes you you? And sometimes when we get on YouTube, we hold this back. You know, who are you at the party? Are you the more reserved person? Well, then amplify that, like be reserved. Like that's the kind of, maybe people don't want Sean's overly crazy energy. People will connect with you when you are you, or you are the person at the party that's like, you're so funny, like, hey, and maybe you've had trouble expressing that on camera. The more authenticity comes through, it's the power of your most strong positioning with your personal brand, being you. So what is it about your personality? And as you even are this might feel weird. You're kind of taking notes about yourself, describing yourself, and maybe you want to ask a loved one that you will trust, that won't flatter you, but will give you honest feedback. You go, that is true about me. I should do more of that. Like one of the things I realized over a while, I just got so serious in delivering value, but people that hung out with me and hang out with me, they go, you tell jokes like all day long. You should be more funny in your videos. And I was like, that's a good point. And that is a reminder that humor resonates with people. It's who I naturally am. But sometimes there's a disconnect that could power up my videos if I'm intentional about weaving in my personality. What are unique things about your personality? Your process. There's 100 different ways to solve a problem. You might have a unique way of doing it. And that is an opportunity that makes you distinct in your niche. Your voice could be irreverent, professional, kind of relaxed, kind of funny. In business, we call this a brand voice. Sometimes brands have a voice. It's their tone online. What's your tone in your messaging and in your videos? Your expertise. That's your experience, what you've done. What have you learned? Your values and beliefs. That makes you unique. Your ideas. What ideas do you have about the world, about your niche that are unique and different? Your reputation. What have you done up until this point? What are you known for? What do others recognize in you? And I want to challenge you because, I'm sharing all this passionately on this Niche Finder course. And I am coming from a place of a lot of clarity today, but I haven't always had that clarity. And it's been a lot of hard work. And I've learned that sometimes you just can't see the label from the box. And we have strengths. It's the curse of knowledge. We have details about us that are so powerful, but sometimes you need other people to activate that in your life. And I remember once we were driving from Arlington, Washington up to Bellingham with my stepdad, Phil, and my mom, Susan, and my wife, Sonia, and I. And I actually, in a book I was reading, was given some trigger questions to ask people I loved and I trusted, kind of a framework of questions that was essentially this: what do you think some of my greatest strengths are? Like, what do you really see in me? And sometimes you need someone to build you up and say, I remember talking to one person who felt he was being pulled into the wrong niche. And he said, what do you think is one of my greatest passions and my greatest skills? And I said, no question, it's food and cooking. You're obsessed with food. You're good at food. You're amazing at cooking. It's a superpower of yours. And this individual, though, felt like actually was being pulled like 5 different ways. Sometimes you can't see, you can't read the label from the box. And so when you start getting feedback, you go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even realize that was a strength of mine. That could be something to amplify your reputation. So what have people messaged you about? What have people encouraged you around? What are your personal stories that you can share in your content? What's your purpose and your mission? And ultimately, what's your visual identity? And again, as I described, you might be like, dear God, like this course is intense. I'm not saying that we need to exhaustively cover this right here. That's why we have a whole nother course on personal branding. But these are some triggers in your visual identity. Could be colors that make you stand out, your thumbnails, your themes, imaging, objects in imaging, the way you dress, the way you present yourself. The goal being just you being you times 2, and really thinking about layering your personal brand on top of your niche and the channel topic that you select. So now we have the problem you solve, the person you're trying to reach, and who you're showing up as. My friend, when you combine all those things, of course you're different. You're one of one. You are the only. You just got to find that sweet spot and double down and strengthen these things. I'm not saying it's easy. You got to do the work now. You got to keep doing the work in your workbook. And so the main goal here, though, again, is to ultimately be yourself and be authentic. I'm not asking you to be somebody else. I'm asking you to be you times 2. Naval Ravikant says, avoid competition by being authentic, because there's nobody like you, right? And here's what's cool. A personal brand business is actually a future-proofed business. It really is. Well, Sean, how can you say that? Because when you start in a niche in the valley of focus and you end up in the land of doing whatever you want, think about, you have unlimited opportunity. What opportunity does The Rock have now? Now, I'm not saying we're all going to be The Rock. And you're like, well, anybody at that side. Well, of course, but think about it, because he built up a level of influence and people who follow him for him. What are they going to follow him to do? Anywhere. They're going to follow him to tequila, to energy drinks, to his next movie, to his next project, to the XFL. They're going to follow him anywhere. And you only need 1,000 true fans. And when you think about that, maybe today we're experiencing this in our business. Maybe today you're connecting with me for YouTube, but then eventually you're connecting with me for how to figure out your niche and even kind of figure out your purpose and your vision and your values and some of those things. And maybe in a couple years, some will just say, all I wanted was YouTube. They'll come and they'll go. That's great. But some might say, I want to be a part of the next thing Sean does. So this is why I want to encourage you that your personal brand business is actually future-proof when you niche down, really are your authentic self, build your community of 1,000 true fans and beyond, and then realize that the future is bright. Even as you evolve and reinvent yourself and your brand, you've got massive opportunity to continue to succeed in different iterations of what your business looks like in the future. And here's what's important though. This is also only true if you don't stop growing. This is only true if you don't stop learning. You only have a future-proof business if you don't stop adapting and if you continue to reinvent yourself and your brand. What I mean is that you got to be committed to growth. I'm not suggesting that if you just stay static, that your personal brand business is future-proof. But when you embrace the power of personal growth, you actually realize, I will just continue to evolve into the next season. Example, you're going to help yourself 2 years ago. And you're going to help with the only things you know today. And your fear is, well, what if I run out of things to help people with? Because I only know what I know today. What's the answer? Learn something new. Continue to grow so that 2 years from now, you're 2 years ahead. And the person you've helped is now 2 years ahead to where you were. And next thing you know, and here's how this looks in our business. As we continue to grow, we started to learn, as the business grows, we got to learn how to do taxes at a much higher level. How do you pay taxes on multiple millions of dollars? And what are the tax strategies? How do you do HR? I'm a small town kid, college dropout, started shooting videos in my bedroom myself. We have an HR department now at Think Media. Thank God that a team helps with it. But nevertheless, I need to get education. Heather Torres and I were able to sit down with one of the people who spoke at our events and who is a lawyer and a background in a lawyer and has been on our podcast. And she started giving us advice about never would have thought of that, because we're at another place in business. Well, friend, as you want to join us in our Think Media mission, it's a never ending set of problems. The problem you solve today just means there's 5 more problems tomorrow. That's a good thing. Your business is future-proof. Our business is future-proof. There will never be something we can't help you with. How do I manage 6 figures? How do I manage 500,000 a year? How do I manage $1 million? How do I manage a team, right? There's always new problems, especially in this evolution. So friend, lean into this. And the answer though, is you got to commit to personal growth. And I know this is about personal branding, you being the difference in your niche, but I just want to encourage you that one of the best ways to build your personal brand is a commitment to personal growth. Remember how we learned if you're someday going to become the role model or the results expert, you may be that today, but what do you do to get there? You start as the reporter, which is a commitment to personal growth. And I'm a college dropout that's become an 8-figure CEO. A few steps in between there. But what was my commitment over the last decade plus? To keep learning. What did I commit to? To keep experimenting, to keep taking massive action, to continue to invest in myself. Because I want to be in business tomorrow. I want to keep helping you tomorrow. And I want to climb to the next level of the mountain so I can pull people up with me. I have to fight new giants so that I can give you the battle plan of how to kill that next level of giant. And meanwhile, in the valley of the creator economy, there's untold mysteries of what will be the next challenge. And this is true in every niche. Life is moving. The only thing constant in life is change. So if you can continue to just grow and adapt to change and continue to learn, what I hope to encourage you is that one of the best ways to build your personal brand is personal growth. I've committed to personal growth as a lifestyle choice, not as just one season. It's a lifelong commitment. And my personal brand has now become a media brand, but I did not start in the land of whatever you want. I started in the valley of focus, right? I was not the leader, and I did not have the skill, character, or self-discipline to even lead our team today 5 years ago. But I continued to commit to personal growth. Are you committed to personal growth? And I want you to write this down. Don't build your brand, become your brand. There's something about, you might say, Sean, I just don't know. This feels beyond me. But I don't know if I see that, or that sounds hard, or it sounds scary. It is. I'm asking you to step out into a life of risk. But I've heard some people say, don't, fake it till you make it. I don't believe that. Don't fake it till you make it. Grow into it one step at a time. Just be faithful exactly where you are. If you're a knowledge broker, you're like, I'm on a journey to learn. I've started this. I'm in my beginning stages. I want to help others in their beginning stages and bring them the experts. Grow into it. Now I'm a results expert. Keep growing one step at a time. It's a lifestyle of growth. You don't build your brand, you actually become your brand. So when you set the target, I want you right now, as we are in the final sessions, we're going to take kind of a step back and get into kind of vision. What's the bigger vision of who you want to become and what your ideal vision of your personal brand is? No guilt, no pressure to get there overnight, no weird competition with anybody around you, just your personal conviction of who you want to be in the future and who you see yourself being. Kind of an image of your future self. Without vision, people perish and they cast off discipline. So when you get a clear vision of who you want to be, you just patiently and baby steps, one step at a time, grow into it. And the result of, in this industry, which is giving you and me so much opportunity, the result is your YouTube channel grows. People see your journey. They get to be a part of your story. They get to be a part of your personal brand. Not you in perfection ever, but you in progress continually. They get to be a part of seeing, and some people in the think media, what's kind of crazy, some people are like, literally, bro, I was there like 11 years ago. It's been weird to watch the journey. And it's been a journey of growth. And they're like, you're different now. You ever heard somebody say that? Man, you've changed. Thank God. I would hope so. Like, bro, sometimes, of course, they say that negatively. No, this is an embracing a lifestyle of change. I am not ready for the me I need to be 3 years from now, but I also need to stress out about that. I just got to be faithful where I am right now, but I want to challenge you. I know this is a little bit, Sean, it's just niche. It's just personal branding. No, this is, I think, one of the most important aspects of personal branding, and that is a commitment to personal growth. But as we really land the plane on this course, we're going to go to the 30,000 foot level, and we're going to ask one question that changes everything. That's a bold promise, but I need you to stretch your shoulders, get hydrated, really get focused, because this is going to bring it all together. And so I will see you in the next session. All right, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. Wow. I want to say congratulations. We have been on a journey together and we have covered so much. We have covered the 3P framework. We've covered how to do market research, the 5 profit tests, the start with why framework. We've niched down until it hurts. We've talked about how to go from newbie to expert. We've clarified the problem that we solve. We've clarified our perfect person. And that's not even all of it, but I want to encourage you. Notice how these are layers, right? We kind of got the bullseye, the focus of the 3P framework. Then we started to do some market research and maybe said, oh, actually not the thing. That's not the topic I want to cover, because the market research revealed I should maybe go in a different direction. oh, shoot, now I did the profit test. That's giving me even more clarity. But also, what aligns with my highest values in my Start with Why framework, right? And then how can I even quadruple niche to start small in order to get big and go through the valley of focus? And maybe today I want to start as a knowledge reporter to just grow as a newbie into my expertise in the future. And then we're dialing in, okay, here's the exact problem I'm solving. Here's the person I'm solving it for. And then we committed to create service content instead of selfish content. And we're researching the places our perfect person is hanging out so we can get to know them more. We've clarified our catchy tagline, and we've seen the power of strengthening our niche positioning with a strong personal brand. I don't know about you, but you might be like, whew, I feel like I've been drinking from a fire hose. There's so much on my mind, and I want to encourage you to process this information. We've consolidated this into an online course, but this is a journey that I really believe it's taken me years. I think this takes weeks and months of kind of thinking about these concepts. And I would also say that it's an ongoing journey. Like, one of my favorite things about being a part of this course with you is that these are questions we're continually asking ourselves at Think Media about what's the next level for us. How are we dialing in our own brand positioning with our personal brands? Is our tagline need a fresh coat of paint and a fresh repositioning? So please, friend, don't get worried about arriving at the destination. Find joy in the journey. Find joy exactly where you are today, and know that if you are just committed to reviewing this material, committed to the workbook, committed to answering the questions, and here's a power tip, is committed to socializing the questions. You can have a lot of powerful impact by answering these questions by yourself, but it gets much more interesting when you start to involve people in your life in the questions. Maybe you have a business partner, a spouse. Maybe you have somebody you can trust. Maybe you bring this workbook on your phone, or you print it out and you bring it to a collection of friends, and you start brainstorming together, and you start saying, who do you think my perfect person is? Who do you think I'm most powerfully positioned? We can't read the label when we're inside the box. And so socializing these strategic questions that you'll find in your workbook can lead you to insights that were undiscoverable on your own. But what we want to do in our final couple of sessions together is we want to zoom out and really go to the 30,000 foot view. And I'm going to go pretty broad here, but what's the high level view of your life? That's not a niche, it's a pretty complex, but let's take a wide view perspective of your life, your brand, your YouTube channel, and your online business. And I want to share a question I learned from Dan Sullivan that can literally change everything. And it's this: if you and me were talking 3 years from now, and you were to take a look back over those 3 years, what has to have happened, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy about your progress? Wow. I want you to think about this question. And I know this is pretty broad, but I actually think it's one of the most important questions we should now filter everything we've learned together through. Why? We started with niche being a vehicle from traveling from Seattle to Florida. And remember, we learned that if you pick not the best niche because it's maybe not that profitable, yet you want to go full time, it's like walking. It may not even work. But if you get in the right market, the right niche, and the niche is growing and there's a lot of pain associated with it, right? The profit test, you might even work half as hard and still reach your goals, because the niche is like a plane that gets you there faster and flies you above all the snowstorms and all the drama happening on the ground. But here's the problem. We learned that niche can help us get from Seattle to Florida faster. But what if you don't even want to go to Florida? Right? And this is what's happening in culture, because we have so many external influences and inputs. We're trying to I just want a big YouTube channel. What's the latest trending thing? Everyone says go to Florida. I'm going to Florida. And then you get there and you go, I didn't even want to go to Florida. Where do you even want to go in your life? And this question causes us to think a little bit deeper. If we're talking 3 years from now and you look back, what would have had to happen for you personally and professionally for you to feel happy? Do you even want a 6-figure business and 6-figure problems? You go, no, I don't even know if I even need that financial goal. I just literally need $42,000 a year. Well, then plan your channel accordingly and don't wear somebody else's shoes that you were never meant to walk in. This is why it's the one question that changes everything. So let me ask you, what is your ideal future? What is the bigger vision for your life as it's connected to the business you want to build in your YouTube channel? Who do you want to be? Who is it that you want to become? What do you want to be doing? Like, what's your perfect day look like? Like, if you could do the perfect day, you know, some people might look at Think Media from the outside because you're not really sure what happens on the inside. And there's no question about it. We have created an incredible lifestyle business. You know, I will probably take 8 to 10 weeks completely dark this year. Like, no social media, with my family. That's pretty amazing. That's a lot of time off. But on the flip side, anytime I'm on, I'm a maniac. And it's still crazy being married to an entrepreneur. So some people might say, well, I want what Think Media has. Well, are you willing to do what Think Media does? It's just questions you got to ask yourself. And do you even really want that? You might go, actually, no, I don't want to go to Florida. By the way, I would much rather go to Japan, which is entirely the other direction. And so it's a lot better. Even if you take a boat to Japan, at least you're going where you want to go, as opposed to trying to, like, I'm just trying to get from Seattle to Florida as fast as I can. And a lot of people are rushing in today's culture, but they don't know where they're going. They're in such a hurry to get someplace that they don't even want to go. Where do you want to go? What business do you really want to be in? Maybe you could just serve a few clients in a few hours a week. Do something you love to do and check out. Work 25 hours a week, 30 hours a week, and spend the rest of the time with your kids or your family or hiking or kayaking. Maybe you don't want to build a YouTube channel around one of your biggest hobbies because you want your hobby to be your hobby. And sometimes once we turn our hobby into an empire, sucks a little bit of the joy out of it. I know at the beginning of this course, I said, I'm going to mess you up. And I know that you might've been like, thanks for nothing. I was so clear. And now I'm totally confused because I don't even know if I want to go to Florida. But I think this is an important question that can help us. And it's one of the most important questions, I believe. Like, who do you really want to help and serve? And what legacy do you want to be building? Friend, this is the power of being purpose-driven and just intentional in what we're building. Sean, can't I just pick a channel? Something's trending. Can I just pick it and just start it? Honestly, you can't, because you're going to get a lot of at-bats. Life's, I think, longer than we think. It's shorter than we think, and it's longer than we think. So I've done a couple channels over the years. I've done a couple things, and I'm thankful for every experience. Does your channel have to be interwoven with the deep, heavy purpose and meaning of your life? It doesn't. You might just actually go, you know what? I'm good at this. This will be profitable. I'm not even super passionate about it, but I'm going to do this for like 2 years, kind of build a business model around it. That'll help me reach this goal, which will allow me to do this. I'm just asking you to make your plan by thinking deeply about what you value most and what would have had to happen 3 years from now for you in your personal life and your professional life to feel happy. And please be bold. Let's write down some goals. You know, man, 3 years from now, I really want that silver play button. I know it's a vanity metric, but it matters to me. So I want to reverse engineer back from 100,000 subscribers. Well, then make sure you pick a niche that maps to that goal. You might say, I want to be like Jen DeVore. I don't even care. 800 subscribers is great. If I can do $12,000 a month, what's the business model that's going to allow me to do that? It's not the subscriber amount. It's the business model amount and the 1,000 true fans or the 10 true fans, because it's more of a high ticket business model. And what kind of lifestyle is wrapped around this so that you can feel personally happy with where you've arrived. I want to acknowledge you because it's a very rare person who's even asking this question. You investing in this course, investing in your learning, being a part of this program, this might get harder before it gets easier, but this is a powerful way to be thinking. This is a question to discuss with friends that are trusted and loved ones. But this question should inform your niche almost more than anything else. Because as soon as we get clear on the niche, we then go, well, shoot. I mean, Florida was the destination until I really thought it through. And I was like, I don't want to be in Florida, dog. So where do you want to end up in the next 3 to 5 years? But keep going, because coming up in the next session, I want to give you a couple next steps for taking your YouTube channel to the next level. So stick with me and I'll see you there. Welcome back to YouTube Niche Finder. Man, congratulations. You have made it through the core curriculum of this course, but you might be saying, Sean, I'm pumped up, I'm fired up, and I want to know, where could I go next? What could I do next? First of all, I want to remind you, review the material in this course, review your workbook, and do the work. Information is not enough. We need transformation, which comes from implementation. It means taking action. It means taking notes. It means taking an entire Saturday or a Sunday afternoon and saying, when the kid goes down for the nap, honey, if you're taking the kids to the bouncy trampoline house, I need a couple hours to really think through these questions. I need to pray through this stuff. I need to think through this stuff. I need to get on the phone with some mentors. I need to get on, with some friends, family, people I trust. I need to process these things. That's where you're going to get the most out of the YouTube Niche Finder. But I want to encourage you, if you're wondering some next steps, here's some things to stay connected to help you get results even faster. First, if you haven't subscribed to the Think Media podcast, join us every Tuesday. Heather Torres and I, as well as guest speakers we bring on and solo rounds from Heather, solo rounds from me, are on a mission to help you crush it on YouTube. We want to help 10,000 purpose-driven people go full-time and beyond on YouTube. And so we share all kinds of advice from specific YouTube news and from also nuanced information around packaging what you know in an online course, or growing your YouTube channel faster, and the latest tips and strategies you need to know. So take some time even now. You can subscribe on your phone on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you listen to audio podcasts, or the YouTube channel, where you will find even bonus content, including Heather's show called the YouTube Made Simple Show, or my show called the Coffee with Candle Show. And this is a free resource for you to help you get results faster. Next, I want to encourage you on the power of personal branding. This article from Entrepreneur said this, that personal branding is becoming less of a competitive edge and more of a requirement. And this article shared 22 statistics that prove the value of personal branding. Those that have a strong personal brand get promoted more in their jobs, make more money, make a greater impact, stand out more online, get better clientele. Personal branding is incredibly powerful. And I know we just touched on it briefly in this course, but if you want to go deeper, definitely check out my personal branding masterclass. There's a link to this and everything in the show notes here in your members area. And this really answers the question of, how does a college dropout from a small town with no media connections get featured in Forbes, work with top brands, and get paid thousands to speak on stages around the world? The answer is personal branding. So use the link below for a special discount on this powerful course. Also, if you have not heard about our program, Video Ranking Academy, this is our YouTube education course. If you want to learn how to get views on YouTube, get subscribers on YouTube, and turn those views into income, it's everything YouTube all in one place. And it comes with a powerful and supportive community. Make sure, if YouTube is a goal that you want to grow on and you're not a part of Video Ranking Academy yet, definitely use the link below to learn more about this powerful program. And then finally, we have a program called Inner Circle. I mentioned it earlier, and this is for you when you've gotten some momentum on YouTube. You've already started to get some views, get some subscribers, and you're ready to go to the next level. And so if you would say specifically, how do I actually deal with the mo money, mo problems that are happening on my YouTube channel? Or you're saying, I see the power in building an online course specifically. If there's one business model that we teach in Inner Circle, it is how to package what you know in an online course and use YouTube and social media to market and promote that, because we absolutely believe it is the best business model for lifestyle entrepreneurs, for personal brand businesses, to build an incredible business that not only makes a difference in the lives of people, but that's also highly lucrative. And so that is a program you can learn more about as well in the description here in your members area. But if you're still feeling stuck, keep going, because in the next session, we just have some FAQs to help you find your niche and some specific questions that we just added as kind of a bonus section in this course. So I will see you in the next section. Well, it's technically over.
Wow. That was amazing. People were cheering you on, Sean, in the comments that are like, go, Sean, go.
Hey,
Wow,
8 hours
guys.
and 23 minutes total.
That was incredible. Actually, it brought me back, Sean, to, we've done this a few times. VRA 1.0 was recorded, I think 14 hours took us to record that one. Then we did hyper growth live as well. And just really excited. Yeah. Look at impressive, amazing, intense. Wow.
Thank you.
Get yourself a burger, man. Yeah.
Hey,
so
we have a
awesome.
HelloFresh burger. I'll make that after this.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you so much, Sean, for being on. And what we're going to do next is, as you are taking in all of this information, most of the questions, Sean, that were asked were answered very clearly inside of the course. So what Daisy's going to do is, in your follow-up email that you're going to receive from our team of just thanking you for being a part of this and letting you know how you can watch the replays of this, and then also when you can access this inside of your course, she's going to give you a place that if there was a question that you had that wasn't answered during this course, that could also help other people who will be diving into this as it becomes live inside of their members area. Please let us know what question that is, because I'm going to be filming some pieces for this course as well. And that is when I can address those questions to make sure that you're getting all that you can out of the Niche Finder course. But I just want to encourage you that if you just took a course in a day, you should be very proud of yourself. And not even just any course, you were just learning the exact strategies that we've used here at Think Media, but the consolidated strategies that Sean has been learning over a decade of digital marketing and learning how to reach people who want what you have. I want to encourage you to go back through the Workbook 1.0. You're going to be getting access to the new and improved, beautiful workbook as it goes live inside of your members area. So when that happens, you will have that workbook, but we do have just kind of the raw workbook that you can have. And then that additional download about how to find the right channel for you. We will have that download beautified for you as well as we go into the next phase. Someone asked, when will this be available? We're going to get this to our editors as quickly as possible, and then our team will be loading it in, so you can expect it inside of your members area in just a few days. So thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing here at Think Media. Thank you so much for being with us. If you rallied for the entire session, oh my goodness, you're amazing. So amazing. Sean, anything else you want to say to the VRA fam?
Thank you, Randall. Thank you, Zusi. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody that hung out with us today. So grateful to hear about the notes you were taking, and just grateful that you were here. As you're reviewing right now, definitely, communicate with us, shoot us an email, or leave us a question, because Heather's going to be the narrator kind of through this course. And so we would love to bring any clarity that comes in that will add to this FAQ section after. But I think it was pretty thorough. I put my heart into it. So I want to thank you so much. And I really believe, friends, that on the other side of applying this, great things are going to happen on the other side of clarity. We believe that Heather and I, it's two of our highest values. Clarity is power. Clarity is king. Clarity is step one. And VRA, reverse engineer, is about getting clarity before you even really start building things out. So thank you so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you inside of the group, and as well as on the podcast and everywhere else. So until then, keep crushing it, keep smashing it. We'll see you soon. Later, y'all. Thank you.